Good evening, everyone, wherever you are, and we thank you so much for tuning in to tonight's Red Hawk Radio coverage of Miami men's basketball. Tonight we've got a good one here from Millett Hall, live from Oxford, Ohio. It's the Miami RedHawks taking on the Toledo Rockets in what should be another entertaining Mid-American Conference in one of the most competitive and entertaining conferences in the country, the Mid-American Conference. My name is Andrew Relvas. I'll take you all the way through up until the tip-off. Then I'll hand it over to our broadcasters, Luke and Will, for the rest of this one. But I'll talk stats, I'll break down scores, and so much more here on the pregame show on Red Hawk Radio. First of all, the RedHawks and the Rockets. How do these two teams match up, especially recently? The overall series is 68-70. Toledo barely edging out Miami in that category by 2 wins. The last matchup happened January 5th of this year up in Toledo. That was a game where the RedHawks lost 68-64. It was another nail-biter where the RedHawks, they unfortunately couldn't close it out. That was kind of the storyline. The first half of the season for Miami, they lost a few games, especially here at home, to some other teams. They just couldn't close it out. They lost that one 68-64 in a real competitive matchup. And this was a game for Toledo where there were 4 Rockets in double figures. Moss, Maddox, Cochran, and Simmons, all of them landing into double figures for Miami. Only 3 RedHawks in double figures. The leading scorer was Darwishi Hunter. They shot 9 for 28 from 3 and turned the ball over 10 times. Toledo about the same. So pretty close and competitive game. We expect the same kind of result here tonight as we get closer on to tip. Overall, the RedHawks in a recent stretch against the Rockets, they're 0-10 versus Toledo dating back to 2019. Toledo has had Miami's number, but if there's a time to shake that trend, it's now. The RedHawks got to continue to rack up some wins if they want to be a higher seed in the Mid-American Conference tournament next week. They clinched a spot last week. So if the RedHawks win 2 more games and Bowling Green loses, or excuse me, Central Michigan loses 1, Miami can outplay the Central Michigan Chippewas. The RedHawks can become a higher seed in the tournament. The conference record, Central Michigan 10-6, Miami 9-7. So Miami just has to outplay the Central Michigan Chippewas this week, and they will be a higher seed in the tournament. It's pretty amazing to see the RedHawks just from last year. You have a ton of turnover, and then into this year, pretty much a freshman-heavy lineup. Majority of them coming up huge year for Miami, and just a complete huge transition here in the second year of Travis Steele's tenure. Phenomenal stuff for Miami fans, and the RedHawks fans got to be feeling good about themselves as we get further and further into this season. Definitely make a run in the MAC tournament. The RedHawks are also 2-8 in the last 10 at home versus Toledo. They haven't won a home game since 2010, so 14 years since a RedHawks last home win over Toledo. Hopefully Miami can switch that up. Now in terms of stats comparisons, Toledo, they're the #1 offensive team in the MAC. No surprises there. They were one of the top teams scoring-wise last year as well. This year they're averaging 79.9 points a game. That's first as well. 7.3 steals a game. They're a very high-octane offense, high-octane defense. They love to play with tempo, and they're going to try and force that on a very young RedHawks group. First in field goal percentage at 48, 76% from the free throw line, 3rd in the conference, and they're the #1 3-point shooting team in the MAC at 37.1%. Meanwhile, for Miami, they rank about middle of the pack in most offensive stats, but they're first in assists at 14.97, ahead of Toledo by about 1.4 assists. They also rank as the #2 3-point shooting team in the MAC, 36.9% from deep. That's 0.2% lower than Toledo. So pretty much right in the same spot in terms of three-point shooting. And Toledo, story coming into today, they're pretty much all offense and no defense. They ranked 10th in the MAC in defense on average. Meanwhile, the RedHawks second in the MAC in defense on average, allowing 68.9 points per game. So this is going to be kind of a flip-flop game here. It can go either way, and we saw it in their last matchup where the RedHawks fell to the Rockets 68-64. Miami, overall, in terms of KenPom, they're ranked as the number 222nd team nationally. They rank 5th of 12 in the MAC conference. Meanwhile, Toledo, 151 in the nation, 2nd of 12 in the MAC. So 70 spots higher than the RedHawks, but about a week ago, the RedHawks were sitting at 270 after they got some nice wins over Bowling Green and Eastern Michigan to extend their win streak to 3-0. Coming into tonight, Miami is 15-14 overall, 9-7 in the Mid-American Conference, 9-4 at home, one of the top home records here in the conference. They're currently on a 3-game losing streak, and they're 5th of 12 in the MAC. So about middle of the pack, and they're still trying to rise with a week left to play. Past 3 games, the RedHawks defeated Central Michigan 88-60 2 Saturdays ago. They went on the road at Bowling Green and they won 66-58. Huge win for Miami. They shot over 50% from 3. Once again, 9 for 17 and only turned the ball over 10 times. Darwishi Hunter as well was huge for Miami. And the most recent game this past Saturday at Eastern Michigan in Ypsilanti against the Eagles. The RedHawks won 52-37 in a pretty low-scoring game, but Miami was able to take down one of the worst conference teams this year. It's a pretty well-balanced scoring attack, and it was a game where Miami, they shot the 3-ball pretty poorly, 5 for 24, but they were careful with the ball, and that's pretty much the story in that one. Just a defensive show-out, and Miami was on top in that one. So on a 3-game winning streak in Travis Steele's second year. Last year, the RedHawks finished 12-20. They've already eclipsed that win record. They're now 15-14, and they got 2 more chances to pick up a few more wins and continue to ascend in the MAC. Leaders here for the RedHawks, Darwishi Hunter in the conference, 6th in free throw percentage with 83% shooting from the charity stripe. Evan Ipsaro, the freshman, is 7th in free throw percentage at 82%. Andrew Call Morris, a defensive stalwart, 8th in blocks with 1.1. Those are the leaders for the RedHawks. Now we're going to talk about the Toledo Rockets. They're 18-11 overall, 12-4 in the MAC, 7-5 on the road. Definitely a good road record and a good team away from home. They won their past game against the Buffalo Bulls up in Buffalo. They won 85-79 in a very tight one. That's kind of been the trend all year long. No matter the records, you can't have an off night in this conference, and Buffalo definitely gave it to the Rockets, 6-point game, though, for Toledo. Just able to edge out Buffalo, the Bulls. It was a 20-point effort for Wilson, 9 rebounds as well, and Cochran had 5 assists for the Toledo Rockets, only 8 turnovers. High-scoring game in that one, but they were able to shake off a close one up in Buffalo. For Toledo, it's Todd Kowalczyk, the tongue twister there, 14th year with Toledo. They've really been one of the top teams in the MAC under him. 273 and 178 record at Toledo. They've made 3 straight NIT appearances. They lost in the first round all 3 years in a row, but they're one of the best teams in the conference, and they always have been under him. Now, this is a much different team than last year for Toledo, where they finished 27-8 overall, 16-2 in the MAC. It was the first in the regular season. They made the MAC championship game but lost to the Kent State Golden Flashes, who ended up winning 93-78 in Cleveland. So pretty much a blowout win out there. Kent State eventually played the Indiana Hoosiers in game 1 of the NCAA tournament, where they fell to the 4-seeded Hoosiers. But last year, the RedHawks, they had kind of a three-headed monster in Ray J. Dennis, Cedric Milner, and JT Shoemate. All three of those players are gone here for Toledo. Ray J. Dennis off to Baylor, helping out the Baylor Bears continue to ascend in the Big 12. Milner and Shoemate have both graduated, and all three of those players were the top scorers for the Rockets last year. Ray J. Dennis, MAC Player of the Year, first team All-MAC. Shoemate, first team All-MAC as well, and Milner, second team All-MAC. So really, the start of this year, the Rockets have really had to scramble to try and find players who can make up in scoring, and they for sure did. Raheem Morris, Dante Maddox, Tyler Cochran, and Javon Simmons all average over double figures, and they've really picked it up. And this is also a fairly young team. There's no seniors on this roster, no sophomores, so freshman and junior heavy lineup that the Rockets love to play with, and they've really kind of replaced that offensive hole in a great way, averaging 79.9 points a game, and they love to steal as well. Top stealers in the MAC. They play with a ton of high intensity. Give you a scoreboard segment. Look across the Mid-American Conference. All the games going on. We got two more men's MAC game days, this one and Friday. So first off, the Ohio Bobcats are traveling up to Buffalo to take on the Buffalo Bulls. Ohio 17-12, 11-5 in the MAC. They're third in the conference in the standings. Buffalo last. Buffalo trying to play spoiler and potentially help out the RedHawks. That one starts off at 7, as does this one. Kent State at Ball State. Golden Flashes out visiting the Ball State Cardinals at Muncie. Should be a fun one. Both teams ranked relatively the same, 8-8 and 6-10 is Ball State and Kent State in the conference. Kent State right now, as it sits, is pretty much right on the bubble. They're in the conference tournament picture, but they are right there as the 7 seed, 8-8, and Ball State looking outside, but they're trying to finish strong here and potentially squeak in. They're a 9 seed right now. Kent State and Ball State should be a fun one out in Muncie. Eastern Michigan versus Akron. The Eagles visiting the Zips at James A. Rhodes Arena out on the east side of the state. The Akron Zips, #1 team in the conference under John Gross. They're always such a tough team every single year in MAC play, and they continue that trend this year. Akron, #1 team. Eastern Michigan near the bottom. Should be a fun one there at Akron. The Bowling Green Falcons are going to be visiting the Western Michigan Broncos out at Kalamazoo. Western Michigan currently an 8 seed in the MAC tournament picture, and Bowling Green is a 6 seed, so 6 versus 8 action there. That one's going to be an entertaining matchup in University Arena. That one also takes on at 7 o'clock. Last game of the night, Central Michigan at NIU. The Chippewas are currently the 4 seed right now. Played the RedHawks a week or two ago, and they fell to them by 28 points. We're trying to shake that off and pick up a few more wins as we get closer into tournament play. But the Chippewas are one of the coldest teams in the conference on a 3-game losing streak. Just trying to fix that one up before we begin tournament play. The Chippewas at DeKalb taking on the Northern Illinois Huskies. Should be a fun one, and that'll take on at 8 o'clock in the NIU Convention Center. Look at some top 25 scores briefly. Just like the MAC tournament, all the other main conference tournaments are beginning this weekend. Next weekend. So it's a great time to be a college basketball fan as we get closer and closer to Selection Sunday. First game of the night, probably the best of the day. The number 3 ranked Purdue Boilermakers are taking on Terrence Shannon and the number 12 ranked Illinois Fighting Illini. Huge Big Ten matchup in that one. That takes on at 7 o'clock. Notre Dame facing off out at Chapel Hill versus the number 7 ranked North Carolina Tar Heels. That one will be a fun one, as it always is in the ACC Dean E. Smith Center. We move to the SEC. The number 16th ranked Alabama Crimson Tide are heading down to Gainesville to take on the Florida Gators. 7 o'clock start. Alabama trying to continue to rise in the top 25 rankings. We head down to South Florida, where the South Florida Bulls are going to be taking on the Tulane Big Wave here. Number 24 ranked Bulls, 15-1 in the American Conference. Just trying to secure their March bid. Huge game out in conference play for them. We move back to the SEC then for the number 13 ranked Auburn Tigers taking on the Missouri Tigers. Missouri, it's been a tough year for the Tigers, but out in Columbia, they're trying to play spoiler against Auburn, who's one of the top teams in the SEC. 9 o'clock start for that one, as well as this one, Kansas State versus Kansas. The number 14th ranked Kansas Jayhawks trying to take down the rival once again. Jerome Tang and the Kansas State Wildcats, 17-12 on the year. That one's going to be a good one, as it always is in those type of rivalry matchups. We move out to the A10, where the number 25 ranked Dayton Flyers are out at St. Louis taking on the Billikens. Dayton, once again, just like South Florida, trying to secure their March hopes. Got to take down conference opponents like St. Louis. 9 o'clock start for that one. And final game of the night, the number 21 ranked San Diego State are heading out to Las Vegas to take on the UNLV Rebels. 11 o'clock start for that one. Mountain West, one of the top teams in, one of the top conferences in the nation. It's probably, you're probably going to see a bunch of those teams make huge runs in March, and San Diego State trying to continue to play well before we enter conference tournament play. Got about 10 minutes left here before we hand it off to Will and Luke. I'll give you the keys to the games here for the RedHawks. How can the Miami RedHawks take down the Toledo Rockets here from Millett Hall? Well, first of all, the RedHawks, they're facing a high-octane offense in the Toledo Rockets. You got 4 players who score over 10 points. Simmons averages 13, Cochran 14, Maddox 16, and Raheem Morris 16 as well. You're going to have to take away at least a few of those players if you want to really have a shot in this one. But luckily for the RedHawks, they have the number 2 ranked defense in the MAC. So just got to play your game. Got to play some lockdown defense and slow this game down here for Toledo. Toledo plays with a ton of tempo. You just got to lock down. You got to really shorten up possessions here for Toledo, and you can really make this game in your favor here if you're Miami. And I would say on the flip side, for Toledo, they are one of the worst defenses in the MAC. Luckily for Miami, they're pretty high in scoring. They rank as, not very high, but 71.5 points a game on average. Still, though, with a tough defense that really kind of doesn't have an off switch. If you can penetrate inside, feed it to your bigs, Anderson, Marambo, Bryce Boltman, and dish it out to some freshmen like Reese Potter, who's been red hot from deep. You go to other guys like Darwishi Hunter, who continues to put the superhero cape here on for the RedHawks. If you can feed it to those guys, get the freshmen and the younger players going here for the RedHawks, it should be a game that the RedHawks can really control in their favor and hopefully take down the Toledo Rockets, who, once again, gotta mention, they have not beaten Toledo at home here since 2010. So it's been 14 years since the last Miami home win here against Toledo. And that's going to be a streak where Miami will hopefully try and end it here tonight in what has already been an awesome season under Travis Steele's second year with the program. Last year, got to mention, the RedHawks were 0-3 versus the Rockets. 0-1 at home, 0-1 on the road, and 0-1 in the MAC tournament. The RedHawks lost by 20-plus in round one. Miami was an 8 seed. Toledo was a 1 seed. And that game was another high-scoring game. So it's the Toledo that we've often become accustomed to. They're all offense and really no defense from start to finish. They're going to play fast, and the RedHawks just got to slow this down, make this their game, and they've kind of been that type of team in the past. Really, in the past month, the RedHawks have been really good. Three-game winning streak currently, and they played some great defense, especially against Central Michigan, where they forced a ton of turnovers on CMU, and I expect that trend to continue tonight. About 6 minutes left to go. Hand it over to Luke and Will for the rest of this one. You're listening to the RedHawk Radio pregame show. My name is Andrew Relvas. I'll catch you at the halftime show. Hopefully the RedHawks can have a bit of an advantage as we head into the half break. But until then, I will see you when the half break happens, and hopefully the RedHawks are starting off red hot as they always do here from Millett. Thanks so much. Hand it over to Luke and Will for the rest of this one.
From Millett Hall in Oxford, Ohio, it is the penultimate home game of the 2023-24 season for the Miami RedHawks. They locked up the trip to Cleveland over the weekend with a win over the Eastern Michigan Eagles, but Miami is looking to stay hot and play for some seeding. The RedHawks have lost 21 games in a row against the Toledo Rockets. 13 of them in that series, however, have been decided by less than 10 points. They host a Rockets team that is still in contention to win their fourth straight regular season title in the Mid-American Conference, sitting one game behind the Akron Zips. With Will Summers, I'm Luke Poley. Thanks so much for tuning in here on this Tuesday night. And Will, Miami's getting hot at the right time, similar to how they did last year. The RedHawks have won 3 straight. It was ugly on Saturday against Eastern Michigan, in which the Eagles failed to score 40 points against this RedHawk team, but it's a Miami team that's really bought into winning any way they can this season, and it was defense over the weekend.
Boy, it was ugly, but as you mentioned, clinch a trip to the MAC Conference Championship Tournament, and really it's all you needed to do. Get your name in contention to win the conference, and right now looking at a 4 or 5 seed, but you win these next 2 games, you can get as high as a 3 seed. You lose the next 2 games, you can drop all the way down to the 8 seed. So it's going to be quite the week for Miami basketball as we head towards conference tournament play.
Miami will take on the Ohio Bobcats coming up on Friday at 7 p.m. here at Millett Hall, and we will have that game for you on Red Hawk Radio as Travis Steele and this group wrap up the regular season in the battle for the bricks on senior night on Friday. And by the weekend, we will know what this team's fate looks like in Cleveland as the RedHawks clinch the trip to the MAC tournament. Miami has not missed the Mid-American Conference tournament in a very, very long time, as the RedHawks qualified last year, sneaking into the 8th seed, and have done so again this year thanks to some hot performances as of late, as the RedHawks look to pick up their first MAC title since 2007. We will pass it over quickly to public address and the Miami Band for our national anthem here on this Tuesday evening, and be back with tip after this. It's Miami and Toledo here on Red Hawk Radio. Tip-off coming up next. Miami and Toledo almost set and ready to go here from Millett Hall in Oxford. Starting lineups for the Toledo Rockets. They enter with a record of 18-11, 12-4 in the Mid-American Conference, currently sitting in second place, 1 game behind the Akron Zips, whom they split the season series with the home team winning each game. 14th-year head coach Todd Kowalczyk goes with Raheem Moss, Javon Simmons, Sonny Wilson, Dante Maddox Jr., and Tyler Cochran as his 5 this evening for a Toledo team that only has 12 players on the roster. They've dealt with that all season long. They've avoided the injury bug in large part, and this team has picked up where they left off last season after being upset by Kent State in the MAC title game and falling to Michigan in the first round of the NIT. Toledo is back near the top of the Mid-American Conference. For Miami, they enter with a record of 15-14, 9-7 in the Mid-American Conference. The RedHawks have won their last 3 games, and Travis Steele will go with Ian Elmer, Makai Cooper, Darwishi Hunter, Bryce Boltman, and Anderson Marambo. Similar 5 to what Coach Steele has gone with over these last few weeks in MAC play, with Marambo being back into the starting lineup for the 6th game in a row. RedHawks have proven they can win ugly, they can win a little prettier. This is a Miami team that is going to have their hands full with a Toledo offensive attack that in preseason Todd Kowalczyk did not think was going to be anywhere near what it was last year. Toledo was the 2nd best offensive team in the country last season, lost 3 key players to graduation, but have returned this year, and they still make their money on that end of the floor. They lead the MAC in points per game, averaging 79.9 points per contest. And the Rockets have continued to be the MAC's best in terms of scoring the basketball, and that is something that in some ways will plays into Miami's hand, as they've proven that they could be staunch defensively, especially of late.
Well, they showed it last time out against Eastern Michigan, 37 points allowed, and obviously you're not going to likely repeat that same defensive production, but right now I think Travis Steele's real message he's going to send to his guys as he sends them out to the court for these next 2 games to finish in Millett is there's 2 games against both Toledo and Ohio that on the road they thought they could have had, ended up losing it down the stretch late, but take care of business at your home court. It's why you get to play them home and away, take care of the home ones, and give yourself a chance for some good seeding in the MAC championship.
First meeting between these 2 teams took place back on January 25th at Savage Arena in Toledo. It was nationally televised on CBS Sports Network. Miami led by 11 at halftime, 40-29 in that game, and led by 8 with 7 minutes left. RedHawks missed a go-ahead shot in the final seconds and lost that game by 4. But like you said, Will, a game that the RedHawks really felt they could have had and what could have been a marquee win for this team on the road. It helped fuel somewhat of a rocky January and start of February, but this team has found their stride once again and have cemented themselves in Mid-American Conference tournament position. Only question now is what seed will they get? Toledo here on the road wearing the white uniforms with the blue and gold accents. They've got the blue numbers on the back with the gold trim around the tops and the sides of the shorts. And the Rockets here on the road will look to improve to 8-5 away from Savage Arena this season. A Toledo team that has played a very, very tough non-conference schedule that tested them a lot against the likes of Vermont, Indiana State, New Mexico, some really good mid-majors put together on the schedule by Todd Kowalczyk. And they are trying to run this down the stretch over the final couple of games and make an outside shot at winning a MAC regular season title for the 4th straight year. Miami is in the red uniforms today here at home. A new look for this Miami team wearing the dark uniforms. They read white Miami text across the front with white numbers on the front and back and a white M on the back as well. White diagonal stripe along each side of the shorts, which are red as well. RedHawks move it left to right. Toledo moves it right to left to begin here in the first half. And on the opening tip, it is Javon Simmons, the 6'7 redshirt freshman from Gahanna, Ohio, against Anderson Marambo, the 5th year from Santo Domingo in the Dominican Republic. Our officials are Andy O'Brien, Todd Van Sosen, and Tony Meeks. Ball is in the air, and off we go here from Oxford. Opening tip is won by the Rockets, and it's Sonny Wilson controlling things from up top for Toledo. Former Gatorade Player of the Year in the state of Michigan, one of many true freshmen on a very young team that's split between freshmen and juniors. Everybody, one of those 2 classes for Todd Kowalczyk on the far side. We get a foul called on the RedHawks. It is against Makai Cooper on the reach-in, 17 seconds in. Inbound comes back into Simmons, and now the ball swung to the near side where Maddox Jr. will hand it off to Simmons back up top. Moss connects on the dribble handoff, surrounded by RedHawks, kick to the near corner. Wilson open for 3. It swirls off, and Boltman soars in for the rebound for Miami. Bryce Boltman up ahead, coming off a 5.4 rebound performance in the win against Eastern Michigan. Has been an up-and-down scorer in MAC play this season, but has provided some great defensive presence. He puts it in for Marambo in the paint. Bully ball going to work. Skyhook pops out of the well, and a rebound is picked up by Cochran for Toledo. Former Ball State Cardinal and Northern Illinois Husky on his 3rd MAC school, trying a behind-the-back pass that missed the target and is out of bounds in the corner. 57 seconds in. We are scoreless between Miami and Toledo, and it's RedHawk basketball.
Tried to get way too fancy on the second possession of the game for the Rockets. Kind of do too much 1 minute into this ball game, but both teams just got to get to the rim, get some points, and get this game underway.
Darwishi Hunter gets it across the timeline to Bryce Boltman, who tripped onto the deck but regains his footing, and the RedHawks into the half-court set. From the right elbow extended, this is Marambo to the far wing for Ian Elmer. Jabs, opens up space, acrobatic to the rim, but his shot falls short, and Moss grabs the board for the Rockets. Quickly up ahead, Cochran, a transition three from the left wing is bottoms, and Toledo opens the scoring. 90 seconds in, it's 3-0 Rockets. Wilson has tried a couple of threes. Cochran connects on that one. Hunter, meanwhile, with a good move, catches the contact and throws it in and out. There's a lid on the basket right now for Miami. Toledo grabs the rebound. Millett Hall crowd still on their feet awaiting the first Miami bucket with 18:10 to go in the first. And it's Dante Maddox Jr. for Toledo to the right elbow. Kick out. Moss into a three. He's got it. 2 early triples for the Rockets. Raheem Moss, who did not attempt a three in the game on Saturday, connects on his first triple. It's 6-0 Rockets, just over 2 minutes gone by. Hunter tries a three now for Miami. That's off the heel. Rebound falls to Elmer on the weak side, but it's stripped away by Cochran, and Toledo will run the floor. Moss leads Maddox Jr. in the far corner, nearly lost it, regathers, and throws it out towards half court. A deflection out of bounds from Miami's Makai Cooper with 17:38 to go in the first, and a 6-0 Rocket lead.
That Toledo steal all off the back of Cochran. He's built like a middle linebacker, and he just bullied Elmer out of the way to fight for that ball and gives Toledo another chance on the offensive side of the ball. Right now, Miami not making shots, but not taking care of the ball nearly as well as they should.
So into the front court with under 20 on the shot clock for the Rockets. This is Simmons handing off for Maddox Jr. Lost control on his dribble and picks it off the deck in front of the Miami bench. Plays catch with Cochran with 8 to shoot on the far flank. One hand for Simmons, and now to the near wing, this is Moss. Check that, Wilson. Back over to the far side. Maddox Jr. on the drive at the buzzer. The shot goes in, but it's waved off. And the officials say shot clock violation as Maddox Jr. He was outside the arc with 2 seconds left on the shot clock, tried to drive in. And the call on the floor is that he didn't get the shot away, but they will go to the monitor to take a look with 17:14 to go in the first. As it stands, it's 6-0 Rockets.
Well, if it is a shot clock violation, quite a bailout for Miami as Marambo got way too far out on the perimeter trying to guard an off-ball screen, and Miami had no one down low and an easy drive for the Rockets, and really should be an 8-0 lead for Toledo. If the shot clock violation stands, it'll be a big-time break for Miami to start off this ball game.
So both teams into their respective huddles as the officials are over looking at this. So again, it was about 2 seconds on the shot clock when Maddox Jr. began the drive from the far wing.
I personally thought he got it off.
I did too, and looking at the replay, it's awfully close. If you go frame by frame, it kind of looks like the ball is in his hand.
It's very close.
And yeah, the frame that the ball leaves his hand is the frame the shot clock expires, so it's really difficult to tell.
This is one of those too close probably to overturn, but it's going to be a pretty lengthy review for 3 minutes into the ball game. Not going to help the already standing fans. Going to get them more restless than ever.
Miami still has not scored. 17:14 to go in the first, and maybe some of that offensive hangover, Will, from what was a slugfest of a game on Saturday in Ypsilanti. Eastern Michigan was without the conference's leading scorer, and so that didn't help the Eagles' case, but Miami didn't really score the basketball well either, but played some excellent defense in holding the Eagles to under 40 points in the win. Officials coming off the monitor, and they will discuss. And back to the monitor they go.
Yeah, neither team, Miami really has not looked like themselves past couple games offensively, even dating back to the game against Northern Illinois. They just couldn't really string anything together. They'd have a couple pretty stellar shots, but overall consistency on offense wasn't there, hasn't been there as of late in MAC play. Something to really shore up before they head into March.
So now the officials are away from the monitor once again. Dante Maddox Jr. is making it very clear in front of the Toledo bench how he feels about things, and they're going to count the bucket.
What it looks like, that's what it looked like initially to us. We thought it was going to count, and Miami going to have to figure out something quick as they're already in an 8-0 hole.
Against the second best team in the conference, RedHawks will have to weather an early storm here from Millett. Miami crowd still on their feet. They've been standing for a while. It's been about 7 minutes since tip-off. 17-14 remains on the clock, and it's 8-0 Rockets. Bradley Dean into the game for Miami. He'll push it across to the far wing. We're crossing the timeline down the middle. Bryce Boltman dribbles with the left hand. Boltman signals for some movement inside. Whips a bounce pass from Arambo on the right wing. He kicks back out for Boltman. Thought about the three and thinks better of it. Instead, it's Hunter. He'll try the left wing triple, and that's off back iron. And the rebound secured by Dante Maddox Jr. 4 boards a game for the junior from Chicago Heights, Illinois. Another three from the far side, and Tyler Cochran connects. Heat check Trey, and it's 11-0 Rockets with 16:43 to go in the first timeout RedHawks.
Well, the one thing you can't do when you're struggling to shoot the ball on the offensive side of the floor for Miami is give up wide open three-point balls, and all three three-point makes for Toledo so far have come off pretty wide open threes. So Miami not there really either offensively or defensively. Got to figure something out during this timeout break.
Bryce Boltman just kind of sagged off of Cochran there. Looked like he wasn't expecting him to shoot, and he took it and put it right in the net. It's 11-0 Toledo with 16:43 to go in the first half.
You wouldn't really expect a guy like Cochran, the way he's built, to be able to shoot the rock like he can, man. He's, like we mentioned, built like a middle linebacker, and he's 6'2", looks every bit of 215, 220.
He is 34% from deep on the season and part of a three-point attack for Toledo that leads the MAC at 37.1%. Makai Cooper has it for Miami, and on the drive, he works his way through and scores off the window.
Really nice move from Cooper there, just getting to the rim untouched. An easy layup.
2 points in back-to-back games for Makai coming in, his coldest since the beginning of MAC play. He's already matched that total early on. It's 11-2 Rockets, just under 4 minutes in. Maddox Jr. popping from the left elbow and knocks down the mid-range. So it's 13-2 now with 16:03 to go in the first, approaching the first media timeout. As it's Marambo from the right elbow, extended back out to Darwishi Hunter, traveled on the drive. And Travis Steele is fuming on the Miami bench, and that will bring us to a timeout. It has not been a good start here at home for the RedHawks. Toledo's punched Miami in the mouth early on. It's 13-2 Rockets with 4 minutes and 3 seconds gone by here in the first half. We'll step aside and be back with more. You're listening to Miami Basketball on RedHawk Radio. Poley, Will Summers with you. 13-2, the early lead for the Toledo Rockets over the Miami RedHawks, and it is Rocket basketball. Following the travel call on Darwishi Hunter, Miami has brought on Reese Potter. Toledo has brought on Andre Lawrenson, and it's the Rockets into the front court coming out of the timeout. Searching into the paint for Javon Simmons. He will circle on Potter, bullying into the freshman and hooks it over him with the left hand to score.
Toledo just looking much more attentive on the offensive attack so far today, and Miami Gonna have to figure out something, especially with their post and the not really perimeter defense. Post defense is another turnover right there.
And Potter throws it away, looking for Hunter on the far side.
And that was the concern coming into the year with Potter, was if he'd be able to guard some of these bigger forwards. And the max so far hasn't been up to the challenge.
Down low, Simmons got partially blocked. Rebound falls right to him, and now he kicks out for Maddox Jr. Playing catch with Lawrence, and he'll reset. Maddox Jr. puts a shoulder into Evan Ipsaro, who's onto the floor for Miami. Swung to the far wing. This is Lawrenson from the flank. Swedish national slashes into the paint, fakes the shot, and gets the roll and one. Off the window and in. Lawrenson patient under the basket with the shot fake. And Travis Steele just called another timeout. With 15:08 to go in the first half. It's 17-2 Rockets, and the RedHawks just called their second timeout of the game. And couldn't draw up much more of a disastrous start for this Miami team.
Luke, I don't know if, since the timeouts have been switched to 4 total in a game, I don't know if I've ever seen a quicker use of 2 timeouts in a half, let alone in a game. I mean, in the first half it's a pretty impressive. I mean, I'm just kind of speechless right now. We've already seen 3 stoppages of play, and we're not even 5 minutes in the ball game.
It's 17-2 Toledo, and Andre Lawrenson will go to the free throw line. Looking to match his total. He was 0 for 3 from the field, and Saturday's win over Buffalo for the Rockets on the road.
I mean, really, what do you say to the Miami squad right now? It's just Toledo just looks like they were more prepared to play basketball tonight.
This is a Rocket team that has been excellent at home under Todd Kowalczyk, but they have really punched the RedHawks in the mouth here on the road to begin the evening. Andre Lawrenson at the free throw line, the 6'8 junior from Gothenburg, Sweden. Played 34 games last season, was the second best free throw shooter on the team at 84%. This year, 83%. And the former St. Louis Billiken gets a roll to drop through and make it 18-2 Rockets with under 5 minutes gone by in the first half. Bradley Dean will sling for Darwishi Hunter on the far wing. Now it's back up for Dean on the edge of the logo. Dean wearing the black and white speckled shoes, pivoting around, finally escapes out of the left side, finds Ipsaro in the corner. He can't trigger a shot. Potter now takes a deep 2. That's high on off the mark, and Simmons rises up for the rebound for the Rockets. Miami gets back defensively. Toledo can't push. Maddox Jr. behind the back on the dribble. Goes for Lawrenson and now has it back, and now it's Simmons from the top of the key, back for Maddox Jr. on the far side. Maddox Jr. hard on the drive, lost it on the deck and scoops back up to the near wing. It goes for Moss with 10 to shoot. Moss spins into the lane, whips back outside. Simmons a contested triple. That was missed to the left, and Ian Elmer grabs the board for Miami. Darwishi Hunter sidestepping ahead, shakes his shoulders, and shovels back for Bradley Dean. He can't drive, though, and will back it to the logo. 14:07 to go first half. It's 18-2, Toledo over Miami. Dean, right side 3, pops out, and Moss grabs the board for the Rockets. Another one that just went in and out. In addition to the struggles that Miami has self-inflicted, shots just not falling. Wild drive from Moss won't go, but Lawrenson is right there to grab the air ball rebound, and the putback is in for the Swede to make it 20-2 with 13:41 to go in the first.
Miami just looking lethargic defensively, and Lawrenson taking advantage of it, flying to the rack for the putback layup.
Potter tried to kick to the corner, and that's deflected away. Maddox Jr. down the left side, between the legs on the dribble, works his way baseline and tiptoeing, flings back out to half court for Raheem Moss. Moss, the junior, former member of the All-MAC freshman team, drives in and draws the blocking foul. It'll go against Evan Ipsaro, who was trying to set up for the charge. And that will send the Rockets to the free throw line with a chance to make it a 20-point game with 13:15 to go in the first.
Well, Luke, if you were looking for a clinic of bad basketball, you've got it so far today out of Miami. And really what this early lead has done for the Rockets is given themselves a chance to rest a good majority of their starters early on, just in case Miami does mount a comeback. They'll have their guys with fresh legs a majority through the second half.
First free throw rolls through for Raheem Moss. He's 73% on the year. Miami will also make some subs as Hunter, Potter, and Dean are off in favor of Mabry Marambo and Makai Cooper. Maddox Jr. and Simmons head off for the Rockets. Sam Lewis onto the floor along with Ben White. Second free throw is through, and it's 22-2 Toledo with 13:15 to go in the first.
I don't want to discredit anything that Toledo's done offensively and defensively either. Toledo's playing one hell of a basketball game so far, one of the most complete 7 minutes I've ever seen.
Mabry down the left wing, crosses the timeline, backing in on Cochran. Bounces for Marambo just inside the arc of the right wing, trying to play some bully ball, and looks like he got fouled on the floor prior to the shot. Kind of a bailout as Marambo might have traveled if that foul wasn't called. It's against Ben White. First team foul against Toledo, and Miami will inbound for the near side baseline. 13:03 to go first half, Rockets by 20. Marambo bashes in with the right shoulder into the paint and gets fouled again on the floor. So maybe something finally starting to bounce the RedHawks' way as Marambo draws two quick fouls. They're both against White. And it'll be Ipsaro from the same spot with 20 more seconds on the shot clock. 7 minutes gone by, and it's 22-2 UT. Inbound bounce into the near corner from Makai Cooper. Post-entry pass from Marambo, just holding the ball in his left hand. Now cross-court pass finds Ipsaro. In stride his three, swirls in and out, and will fall on the floor to Ian Elmer. His wraparound putback is through.
Well, the aggressiveness of Miami pays off.
And Travis Steele just got teched. Whoa. So Coach Steele got a tee going back up the floor.
Wow.
Said something to his team. It didn't look like he was interacting with officials, but that is a tough break for the RedHawks as it'll send Andre Lawrence into the free throw line. 12:44 to go first half, and it's 22-4 Rockets. Lawrenson has the first free throw roll through. One of these baskets is watching everything roll home. The other one is not. That's, again, not to discredit anything Toledo has done as they've been the better team early on. But Miami has seen some pretty good-looking shots fall out in the most awkward of ways as Lawrenson bangs through the second free throw.
I was just about to say, when you take the aggressiveness to the Rockets, good things will happen, and it did right there. And about a second later, Coach Steele gets teed up, and we're back to where we started. And nothing going Miami's way right now, just the basketball gods against them in every fashion.
So it's 24-4 as the Rockets lead the RedHawks, and they've got it back into the front court. Lewis down the right lane, bullies to the basket, throws it too hard off the glass, and Marambo gets the rebound, but he gave it away, and Lewis has a wide open lane to throw it down with two hands.
You need your guards to come to the big man. The big man can't even take a couple dribbles. I know Marambo's more athletic than most, but you don't even want to give him a chance to take a couple dribbles off the court. You need your 2 point guards on the floor to come get the basketball. Frustrating.
He gets it across the timeline on the right wing. It's Evan Ipsaro, cross for Makai Cooper. He lost it on the deck, but now regathers, circles the paint, draws the foul, and will go to the free throw line to shoot two. 12:08 to go first half. It's 26-4 Rockets, and Makai Cooper will go to the free throw line with the foul on Sonny Wilson, the freshman from Pontiac, Michigan.
Well, it's felt like Cooper's really the only RedHawk on the floor that's been able to kind of match Toledo's intensity so far today. 2 really good drives and giving himself a chance to score some points.
Cooper misses the first free throw long. So the second one awaiting. Kai Cooper 78% from the stripe. Does knock down the second free throw, and so he's over his total from the last couple of games now with 3 of Miami's 5 points. 12:08 to go first half. Toledo leads 26-5. Miami applying some pressure up in the full court here, and now they'll release it after Lewis finds Wilson to the near side. He'll cross the timeline down the middle and lift up for Cochran down the right wing. His pass insertion for Lewis. He traveled on his way through, And that will bring us to immediate timeout. So Miami does force a Rocket turnover. It's still all in favor of the road team with 11:56 to go in the first half. It's Toledo 26 and Miami 5. Stay with us. You're listening to Miami Basketball on Red Hawk Radio. $11:56 to go, first half here from Millett Hall in Oxford. Luke West, Poley, and Will Summers with you as Toledo is heavily in front of Miami. 26-5 is the score in the early goings. Miami finally starting to show a little bit of life, if you want to call it that, early on, with Kai Cooper getting to the free throw line and then forcing a turnover. But the RedHawks have clearly not looked the better team through the early goings and have had some bad bounces go their way as well. Kai Cooper rounds the whole defense and can't finish the layup as Toledo grabs the rebound. Nice move by Cooper, but again, he can't finish, and Miami's off to a 2 for 12 start from the field. Moss bounce pass releases off for Simmons. Now Cochran down the left side. Hands off for Maddox Jr. Put back up top for Simmons, who hands on the dribble for Moss. Moss to Cochran with 8 to shoot. Behind the back pass outward for Moss on the near wing. 5 left on the timer. Simmons jutting across on the baseline. Throws it up at the buzzer. It rolls the heel and falls on the far side as Ian Elmer grabs the board for Miami. Elmer dribbling with the right hand. Will release off for Marambo. And now it's Ipsaro from the far flank. Back up top, Ian Elmer. His straightaway 3. That goes.
You have to figure they're going to start falling eventually for Miami as the first one goes, the first of 5 attempts. And just keep shooting them. The lid will come off the basket eventually.
26-8 our score, with Toledo in front. Just over 9 minutes gone by here in the first half. Simmons spins down the lane, backing in on Marambo, throws it up with the foul, and it rolls out on him. Marambo played pretty good defense there, but just whacked on the arm at the end, and that'll send Simmons to the line to shoot 2. As Miami picks up their 4th foul, and Javon Simmons will go to the stripe. Redshirt freshman from Gahanna, Ohio. All-state selection at Gahanna Lincoln High School. Volume shooter, 7 or more field goal attempts in every MAC game except the opener against OU. And early on, he's 1 for 4 from the field, but does bury the first free throw as he's now up to 3 points.
Toledo, one of the most physically imposing looking teams we've had come to Millett all year long, is they just look like they're physically ready to make a run in March, especially as we head towards the tournament.
Second free throw is made as well by Simmons, and that makes it a 28-8 game. A Toledo team that feels they have some unfinished business. They were the MAC's best team, many thought, last year before getting upset in the MAC championship game by Kent State. Didn't get to go dancing and instead ended up in the NIT. Down low, Ian Elmer wide open, and he throws it down with the right hand. There's an offensive breakdown by the Rockets, and it's back to an 18-point ball game with 10:21 to go in the first. 28-10. The score, the Rockets in front of the RedHawks. Simmons looking for some sort of option, palming the ball in his left hand. It comes by way of Cochran up top. And now it's Maddox Jr. from the far side. Dante Maddox Jr. flings for Moss with 9 to shoot. Wild drive and the foul. As kind of tossed that one up over his head almost on the shot attempts. Fouls against Ian Elmer of Miami, who gets his first. 16th foul on the RedHawks. Toledo shoots the bonus the rest of the way over the final 10:03 with the next foul. And Raheem Moss will go to the free throw line. Leading scorer for the Rockets, 15.9 points per game, 11.7 rebounds and 2 assists on Saturday in the road win against Buffalo. First free throw rolls over the front of the rim and in. And it is 29-10 Rockets as Moss readies for the second shot. Knocks that down as well.
The MAC feels kind of like one of those tournaments that the seeding doesn't matter as much as some other tournaments because only 8 teams out of the 12 in the conference make it. So every team can beat any team. So seeding doesn't matter as much for these RedHawks. They just got to get hot going into the tournament.
RedHawks have certainly not been that way tonight, down 30-10. Cooper pulls up on the left elbow and hits the mid-range jumper. And it's 30-12 as Makai Cooper's off to a pretty hot start. He and Ian Elmer combining for all 12 of Miami's points. Cooper with 5 of them. Evan Ipsaro's called for a foul now away from the ball as he got locked up with Sonny Wilson. And Ipsaro picks up his second.
Miami just got to be careful with showing any emotion right now. 1 T already against the RedHawks bench. Shows that the refs won't hold anything back calling technicals. So Miami just got to be smart. Got to give yourself a chance to get back into this ball game.
1-and-1 shots coming up for Wilson, 79% this season. And hits the first free throw. There's a collision under the basket, and Elmer fell down on top of Toledo's Javon Simmons, but everybody's kind of reset for the second free throw. Sonny Wilson, who came into the game making 18 of his last 19 free throws, broke a cold shooting performance over the last couple of weeks. Last game, 5 for 8 against Buffalo with 20 points to lead the way offensively in the game for the Rockets. Down in the bright yellow shoes, airs out the second free throw, and that finds the netting. 32-12, these teams keep trading buckets, but Toledo plus 20 on the RedHawks as we're just past the halfway mark of the first half. Evan Ipsaro racing down the left side, crosses the timeline, gets all the way to the bucket, throws it high off the glass, and it glances off the front of the rim, no good. Lawrenson puts it into the post for Simmons in transition. Simmons will now stand it up and give back outside for Moss. Simmons has it once again, now shouldering into Marambo, and he knocks it off the glass and through. And a little flex on the end of it for Javon Simmons, who's up to 6 points, and it's Rockets by 22 with 9:04 to go in the first. Cooper straight away, his 3. Rattles off, and the rebound falls to Maddox Jr. for Toledo. Maddox Jr. cuts, takes a logo triple that gets blocked by Elmer. It falls, though, to the Rockets, and Lawrenson's triple goes.
Now that was a microcosm of the entire game tonight as just a horrible three-point attempt. Somehow finds his way to Lawrenson, and he's able to bury a wide-open 3, and everything going Toledo's way right now.
37-12 is the Rocket lead with 8:33 to go in the first. Marambo, deflected pass, still finds Ipsaro. He cuts and kicks. Dean from the far corner for 3. That's off the iron. And Sonny Wilson grabs the rebound for the Rockets. Wilson straight down the center of the paint, leaves it off for Simmons. He got blocked by Elmer. And Makai Cooper now with the basketball for the RedHawks, pushed into the far wing for Ian Elmer across the timeline. Back up top, Marambo fakes, now drives. Marambo with the left hand, might have got stuffed by Simmons partially as that falls off the bottom part of the rim. And now Toledo has it in the front court. Lawrenson kicks it off through the center of the paint. Simmons falls way short on the shot attempt from the MAC logo. And Bradley Dean's got the ball now for the RedHawks. Dean up ahead, back up top, Marambo, and now Ian Elmer from the near side. Right angle extended. Elmer waves the troops inside. Evan Ipsaro, far side of the logo. Back up top, Marambo. Contested triple. That swirls out. And a rebound is to Toledo's Dante Maddox Jr. Already 5 boards early on for the Rocket Jr. Cut into the basket, stops his feet, spins, and travels. Maddox Jr. can't go coast to coast on the finish, and that brings us to a media timeout. It is a 25-point Toledo lead, 37-12 with 7:25 to go in the first. We return to Millett Hall after this. You're listening to Miami Basketball on Red Hawk Radio.
Sleepless nights, you wake me up when the sun goes down. I can't help it, baby, not myself when the sun goes down.
$7:25 to go first half here from Millett Hall. Luke West, Poley, Will Summers with you as it's Toledo 37 and Miami 12. All Rockets in the first half. Miami takes it left to right coming out of the timeout, and it's Evan Ipsaro for Miami. Ian Omer and Makai Cooper have scored all of the RedHawks' 12 points. Reese Potter from the far side, 7-footer drives and whips back out. Bryce Boltman faking the three from up top, looking around, pivoting at the elbow, trying to find something, and bounces back up top for Ipsaro. He shimmies, works his way into the paint, and a little right-handed floater rolls off the left side of the rim, and a rebound is picked up by the Rockets. Raheem Moss down the right side, shuffling in, will overhead feed to the far wing for Cochran. And now Cochran will scoop it back outward for Maddox Jr., gives up top for Lewis. Lewis working on Boltman, and he stopped his feet and jumped. That's a travel on the Rockets as it'll give it back to Miami. RedHawks have forced a fair amount of those, probably the only positive mark on the defensive side of the floor you could come up with. With 6:43 to go in the first half, it's still Toledo by 25. Bryce Boltman from the top of the key. Belt high pass finds Bradley Dean, and he slashed across and got fouled by Maddox Jr. That is the fourth foul on Toledo, and that will bring an inbound and another chance on this possession for the RedHawks.
Well, Luke, when you're down 25 with 6 minutes left in the first half, you'll take positives any way you can get them. And as you mentioned, the turnovers have been good for Miami. They've done a really good job defensively in that regard.
Dean with a step-back three, and that is way long off the iron. Crowded rebounding area, but Moss finds it and releases it back down for Cochran, who's down the left wing. Cochran gets doubled on the near side, jump skip to the far wing for Lewis, touch pass to the interior, and Ben White gets fouled. And from there, that will send him to the free throw line, and fouls against Potter to check if that was a shooting foul.
Luke, honestly, this team Toledo just looks like they just know how to play better as a team. They look like they've gelled as this season progressed, and Miami as young as a squad as they are.
White hits the first free throw. It is a 2-shot trip.
As young as a squad as Miami is, I mean, with all the freshmen they have on the roster, they're going to get there. They will. It's going to be a slow building block process, but making it to the MAC tournament this year with how young this squad was is definitely a bright spot. But Toledo right now just looks like they've meshed as a squad much better.
White goes 2 for 2 on the free throw attempts. And it's 39-12 Rockets with 6:16 to go in the first. Quell Morris comes into the game for Miami for second time. And the RedHawks will bring it up the floor from left to right. It's Bradley Dean. That will stop just short of the timeline and now race ahead. Dean, he's doubled. He throws it to nobody. It's batted away by Simmons. His lead pass to Wilson, though, is into the seats on the baseline, and the Rockets will turn it over. Their 5th giveaway of the half with 6:03 to go in the first. Still a comfortable 27-point lead for the road team.
Now, obviously, Toledo can't shoot this well every game, but the defensive pressure that they've showed tonight, I'm shocked that they aren't the #1 team in this conference standings-wise.
Sit 1 game behind Akron, 2 teams who split the season series with the home team winning both. Boltman has it just inside the arc straight away for Miami. Now he'll head to the far wing, pick up his dribble, and flip to Ipsaro on the near side. Touch pass for Dean off with 5 to shoot. Dean sidesteps, steps back for a 3, and that's off the front iron. Morris with an aggressive offensive rebound, kick to the near corner. Hunter's 3, that rattles off, and Simmons grabs the strong side board for the Rockets. Cochran bounds it ahead. Skip pass to the near wing for Wilson. Tried the baseline drive. Instead, he'll lift off for Maddox Jr., and his 3 is perfect. Dante Maddox Jr. with another triple for Toledo. They're 5 for 8 from deep. Maddox Jr.'s got 7 points, and it's 42-12 Rockets with 5:02 to go in the first half. Ipsaro's 3 bounces off the iron for Miami, and Toledo nearly threw it away on the rebound. But Bryce Boltman caught it out of bounds in front of the Toledo bench. And that will give it back to the Rockets with 4:56 to go in the first.
And I get the mentality from Miami. You're down 30. You need as many points as quick as possible. But the last 3 possessions ending in errant 3-point balls that really felt kind of rushed during the possession, that's not going to get you back into the ballgame at all.
Wilson floats it up top for Moss in the far corner. Now Simmons back to Wilson from the left side extended. Wilson back to Maddox Jr. to the far corner for Raheem Moss, and now Simmons. Not really dribbling the ball a whole lot, and now they'll start to do that with Wilson giving for Simmons. Maddox Jr. with 5 to shoot, back inside. Simmons gets free and scores with the left hand.
Feels like Toledo can do whatever they want offensively right now.
Javon Simmons up to 8 points. Only 1 Rocket in double figures. That's Lawrenson, who's perfect from the field. Spreading the wealth pretty well, and they lead it by 32. Elmer's near side 3. That goes. So a 3 for Ian Elmer. Miami now 2 for 13 from deep, 15.4%. And it's 44-15 Rockets up 29 with under 4 to go in the first half. Wilson lost it. Scoops it back up away from 2 prodding defenders and finds Simmons, who travels on his way in. And that will bring us to the under 4 media timeout. So the RedHawks are down at 29 with 3:52 to go in the first half. They'll look to get something positive going into the locker room when we come back. You're listening to Miami Basketball on RedHawk Radio. 1:52 to go in the first half. It is Toledo 44 and Miami 15. Luke West, Poley, and Will Summers with you. Andrew Relvas says a Red Hawk Radio halftime coming up at the break, as he will break down the stats. There's quite a few of them on one side to break down. Take a look at some scores from around the country and preview our second half coming up on the Red Hawk Radio halftime. It's Miami basketball coming out of the timeout. And left to right, Darwishi Hunter gets the feed across the timeline. Hunter accelerates to the baseline and will now push back out. Ryan Mabry towing the tightrope against the sideline, throws it back in for Hunter. Now it's Mabry up top. RedHawks wasting their own time right now with 10 to shoot. Finally, Hunter makes his way in. A step back long two is off the orange. And the rebound falls in space where Hunter commits a reach-in foul on Dante Maddox Jr.
Again, it's one of those loose balls that Toledo has just somehow found a way into their hands. And really, I mean, it's not really even a somehow. The effort that they've played with all night so far has been quite impressive for this far into the season. Teams usually start to get gassed into this far into the season, but not the Rockets so far tonight.
First free throw is made by Maddox Jr., who's at the line. That was the 9th foul for Miami of the half. 3:26 remains in it. Rockets lead by 30. Dante Maddox Jr. began his career at Cal State Fullerton, has been excellent for Toledo these last couple of years. Buries the second free throw, and it's a 31-point Rocket lead with 3:22 left to go in the first. Makai Cooper dribbling with the right hand. He is doubled out near half court and finds Darwishi Hunter for the right angle extended. Now it's Cooper from the left side. Cooper into the paint for Jaquel Morris on the right side. Fakes, goes up and under, and got it to go with the right hand. Miami will want to get Jaquel Morris going at some point. He really found his stride towards the end of last year, looking to do the same here in his sophomore season for the big center out of Brooklyn, New York. Maddox Jr. drives into the corner. It goes for Moss, and now Maddox Jr. once again for the right angle extended with 10 to shoot. It's kind of shifting around. Ball is pried away, but Maddox Jr. has it back. Now it's Cochran with 5 to shoot. Nice little turnaround play to open up space, but it got knocked away and out of bounds as he tried the shot. It will stay with Toledo. 2 seconds left on the shot clock. So the Rockets will need a quick catch and shoot with 2:38 to go in the first. And Todd Kowalczyk will take his use it or lose it timeout here to draw a play up. Timeout Toledo with 2:38 to go in the first. It's 46-17 Rockets. So a quick 30-second for Coach Kowalczyk to talk things over in his 14th year as the head coach of Toledo. Rockets have won 21 straight in this series. Oddly enough for Coach Todd Kowalczyk, who's in his 14th year. His first meeting with the RedHawks was the last loss that Toledo took against Miami, and since then he has won 21 in a row. He's 21-1 all time against these Miami RedHawks. This has been a very streaky series. Rockets lead the all-time series by 2 games. Prior to the 21-game win streak for Toledo, Miami won 5 in a row. This has just kind of gone back and forth over the years for these two longtime conference foes. Inbound will come for the far corner along the sideline. And for Toledo, it will be Moss taking it, trying to get it in. We'll skip it off for Simmons. Ball got tipped. He still finds it and hoists up a 3. It doesn't catch rim off the backboard. And that's a shot clock violation on the Rockets with 2:36 to go in the first. And they still lead it by 29.
Great to see the defensive effort out of Darwishi Hunter, get a hand on that ball. Kind of shocked the Toledo player as he went up for the 3-point ball and kind of forced an errant shot for sure.
Jaquel Morris on the handoff for Ryan Mabry. Now Ian Elmer from the left wing. Elmer dribbling with the right hand, back for Mabry, deflection and a steal for Maddox Jr. 2-on-1 the other way. Maddox Jr. goes up strong and scores. In Elmer's face, Dante Maddox Jr. leading all scorers with 11 in the game, and it's 48-17 Rockets. Mabry's near side 3. Short off the front iron. Rebound tapped by Morris into the hands of Maddox Jr. He leads Cochran down the near wing, and he will hold on and now run the baseline. It's tipped, and it's out of bounds off Miami. Minute 58 to go first half. It's 48-17 Rockets, and they will inbound from the baseline with 6 seconds bled off the shot clock.
And Dante Maddox looks like just a ball of lightning whenever he takes off. He is so quick to get down the floor and showed right there in the last fast break.
They thought he was going to have to be the guy. He's not their leading scorer this year, but one of the best that they've brought back after they lost their star player Ray J. Dennis to the portal, who's now at Baylor doing some great things in the Big 12. Cochran slashing, fadeaway jumper, and that falls through. Tyler Cochran, wow, a dazzling finish on the fade. It's 50-17 Rockets with 93 seconds left to go in the first half. Mabry down the right lane, floats it high off the glass, and that rattles home. Mabry on the board, just the fourth RedHawk to score in this game. Morris and Mabry with 2, Potter with 5, Elmer with 10, and Miami still trails heavy by 31. To the rack, another one taken and hit by Wilson.
Well, needless to say, Luke, you can't be trading baskets when the deficit is this large for sure.
52-19 Rockets with 1:01 left to go in the half, and Arishi Hunter gets fouled for Miami going after a loose ball. It is on Tyler Cochran, who gets his first foul. Even 1 minute remains on our first half clock. It's 52-19 Toledo. Inbound goes to the far corner from Makai Cooper. Jabs, swirls into the paint. Waist-high shot falls around the rim and no good, but the putback is cleaned up by Reese Potter. And Miami crosses the 20-point mark with under a minute left to play in the first half. 43 seconds left to go in the opening frame. Rockets by 31. Maddox Jr. from the right side, handoff for Moss. From straight away, Moss dribbles between the legs, bullet to the near side, finds Cochran who leaps up for it. Cochran is bracketed, finds the space and gets fouled. Just made room for himself with the shoulders. And Cochran will go to the free throw line with a chance to get into double figures and be the third Rocket to do so with 31.4 seconds to go in the first half. And his team up 52-21.
If I were Tyler Cochran, that's almost should be a every possession type of thing. Just work your way into the paint, use your big body, and not a RedHawk on the floor that can match Cochran's physicality, and he showed right on that possession.
Cochran is nothing but net on the first free throw. Jaquel Morris coming on for Miami to replace Reese Potter. And Sam Lewis comes on for the Rockets to take Dante Maddox Jr.'s spot prior to the second free throw. Andre Lawrenson will be kept off the floor for now, it looks like. Second free throw from Cochran is on the way. And he's got it. 16 of 17 MAC games now for Tyler Cochran. He's been in double figures, up to 10 points. Lawrenson comes on to take his spot as he'll take a seat and get a nice handshake from Todd Kowalczyk, his head coach, headed back to the bench. Miami can almost hold for the final shot here. Shot and game clock separated by a second and a half. 27 seconds remain in the first half. It's 54-21 Toledo, and it's Makai Cooper for Miami from up top. Holding belt high, the freshman with 5 first-half points, second on the team, only to Ian Elmer with 10, as only 5 RedHawks have scored in this game. Cooper wants a screen with 11 left on the shot clock. Finally gets it for Morris, who pulls off. It's whipped to the near side. Mabry with a fadeaway 3, and that rattles through. So Mabry got it. Toledo going to try to steal one at the buzzer. Moss up ahead. That got deflected, and time will run out before the Rockets get a shot up. The turnaround attempt went through for Sonny Wilson, but it was let go after the buzzer. It won't matter much, though, as Toledo still takes a 30-point advantage into the halftime break. After 20 minutes from Oxford, it is Rockets 54 and RedHawks 24. Well, if you're wondering if offense like what we saw on Saturday could eventually catch up to the RedHawks, it certainly has in this game. And the only issue is that on the other side of the coin, you got to play near perfect defense if you're only going to put up 24 points and a half. Not only did Miami not do that, Toledo was firing on all cylinders. They hit 62% from the field, 56% from 3, and they have far and away looked the better team, out rebounding the RedHawks 21-11 as well in the first half. There was a clear effort level difference from the Rockets, who were ready to play on the road.
Well, Toledo already has surpassed Miami's point total from last win, as Miami scored 52 in their win against EMU. Toledo already at 54, and Miami goes from giving up 37 points in a game to 54 and a half. Is not quite the defensive progression you're trying to see as we head towards the tournament, but this game it's not over. We've seen crazier things in college basketball, but the win not really as much of an important factor for this RedHawk squad as trying just to get something positive out of this game, just trying to get some momentum as you head into the Battle of the Bricks on Friday.
Time for our halftime report with Toledo leading Miami by 30. Andrew Relvas takes over right now.
Thanks, Luke. Thanks, Will. An abysmal first half here for the RedHawks. That's probably the adjective I'm going to use. Just a complete empty effort from the RedHawks as they're trailing by 30 as we're at the end of the first half here. Toledo up 54-24 in the worst first half of the year for Miami. I was checking the scores throughout the year, and there hasn't been a half worse. The RedHawks just completely outplayed here by the Toledo Rockets, who I talked about it in the pregame. This Toledo team, they play like they're named the Rockets. Red hot from start to finish. They play really fast, and they are relentless, just like a rocket in the sky. And, yeah, tough effort here for the RedHawks as they're down by 30. But luckily for them, the clock is stopped, so they have some time to regroup here, and we'll take it from there. The stat leaders here for the Toledo Rockets, it's Maddox leading the charge for Toledo with 11 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals. He's pretty much been the scoring catalyst and engine for this Toledo offense all game long. There's 3 Toledo Rockets in double figures, Cochran and Lorenstein as well with 10. So 10, 10, 11. And you have players like Simmons, Moss, who both are scoring 7 and 8. So still, pretty much, if you want to count it, 5 players who are pretty much in double figures here for Toledo. Meanwhile, for the RedHawks, the leading scorer is Eon Elmer with 10 points and 5 rebounds. Other than that, it's been pretty empty. Makai Cooper helping out. Same with Ryan Mabry. But other than that, it's just been an empty effort here from the RedHawks, and they'll hope to clean it up here in terms of shooting. Toledo, 16 for 26, 62% from the floor as compared to the RedHawks, 10 for 33. A pretty subpar effort shooting-wise by Miami, 30%. For three-point shooting, the RedHawks, 3 for 15 from deep, 20% overall. Meanwhile, Toledo not shooting as much, 5 for 9, but still not bad at all, making more three-point shots than the RedHawks. And this is the big one. I was watching this throughout the first half. Toledo's had 17 free throws to the RedHawks 2 free throws. It's one thing to draw all those fouls inside, but to have such a difference is pretty staggering. The RedHawks are only 1 for 2 from the free throw line. Meanwhile, the leading scorer, Moss, the leading free throw shooter, 4 for 4 from the line, and you have 5 Toledo players who have shot 2 for 2 from the free throw line. 3 for 3 is Lorenstein. And yeah, 17 for 17, that's going to do it. Down by 30, but, you know, only way to go here for Miami is up, and we shall see if they can turn it around here from Millett Hall. We've got about 10 minutes left to go here in the half. Be back in 1 second for the scoreboard update from across the country. Stay tuned on Red Hawk Radio. Welcome back to the halftime show. Andrew Relvas here from Millett Hall. Scores from around the Mid-American Conference. Leading the charge so far at the half, the Ohio Bobcats narrowly on top of the Buffalo Bulls, 40-33. the score after one. Clayton is leading the charge here for Ohio as they are trying to overtake the Toledo Rockets, as we got about a week left in MAC play. The next game, Kent State trailing the Ball State Cardinals, who have really been railing. The Jalen Anderson show, 11 points for the Cardinals as they're on top of the Kent State Golden Flashes by 5. Fun one out there in Muncie at the half. Eastern Michigan and Akron. This is going to be a huge upset if EMU can pull it off. Akron up by 2, 27-25 at home. Narik Freeman leading the charge for the Zips. Should be a fun finish to that one as well. The only other game going on right now is actually in the second half right now. The Bowling Green Falcons on top of Western Michigan by 4, 35-31 is the score. Bowling Green right now sits behind Miami and the 5 seed, Western Michigan an 8 seed, both those two teams. The same record in conference play. That one is a fun game going on right now in Kalamazoo. Briefly look at top 25 scores. So we got about 7 minutes left before the second half begins here from Millett Hall. At the half, the number 3 ranked Purdue Boilermakers up. They're down to the Illinois Fighting Illini, 40-34. Terrence Shannon's group doing well into the Big Ten there. At the half, North Carolina on top, 41-25. R.J. Davis doing some great things, taking down the Notre Dame Fighting Irish in ACC play. Alabama trailing Florida in the swamp in Gainesville, 44-35 at the half. Aaron Estrada, the leading scorer for the Alabama Crimson Tide. Tulane versus South Florida at the half, 44-43 is the score. Tulane trailing the South Florida Bulls, number 24 team in the nation. Youngblood, the leading scorer for the Bulls, as that's the end of the half break. Got about like 4 more games left. Auburn versus Missouri, Kansas State versus Kansas, Dayton versus St. Louis, and San Diego State versus UNLV. All 4 of those games yet to begin, but keep an eye on that if you're checking the scores from across the nation. Bring it back here, RedHawks versus the Rockets. Worst first half of the year here for Miami. Just complete letdown here for these home fans, for the RedHawks. The energy definitely not there. Talked about it in the pregame. Toledo, this is going to be a team that's going to play fast, going to play hard, and they certainly did that here from Millett Hall. And here in the second half, that's going to be the story. How are you going to slow these guys down? You're going to have to play perfect defense if you want a shot in this one. It's going to be a long shot, down by 30. Regardless, RedHawks only scored 24 points, so they got to play lockdown defense and they got to play perfect offense. It's going to have to be a perfect effort, perfect half if the RedHawks want any shot in this one to take down the Toledo Rockets. And since the RedHawks have shot 3 for 15, usually if you're down by 10, shooting like that, you would abandon the three-point ball. But feels like the RedHawks are just going to have to stick it through here and just try and get out of their shooting slump, because scoring threes and playing some defense, that's how you're going to get back into this game. And you know, for Miami as well, Toledo was doing a great job of drawing fouls inside and creating a ton of contact. The RedHawks are going to have to try and limit these fouls. 17 free throws to the 2 RedHawks free throws. Just got to limit these fouls, play with some higher intensity, play like this is your last game of the season, and the RedHawks will go from there. Not only that, but Bowling Green, Kent State, and Western Michigan all are one game back of the RedHawks. Kent State right now. It's been a pretty close game. Kent State trailing by 5. You got Western Michigan trailing by 2, and then you got Western Michigan with Bowling Green, excuse me. So you got all these games right now, and this is a game the RedHawks can't afford to lose. You know, you draw a tough final 2 games versus Ohio and Toledo. But it's all about effort. At the end of the day, it's about effort here from Millett Hall. And even if you lose this game, which it's looking grim, but crazier things have happened. If you win this game, if you flip the script on the Toledo Rockets, you can feel really good about yourself going into that Ohio game on Friday. But something's going to have to change here from Millett Hall. Travis Steele potentially try and draw something up differently. And you got to flip the script here for Miami. We played 20 tough minutes that you were completely outplayed in. Put your head down. It's a new 20 minutes, new game if you want to call it that. And the RedHawks are just going to have to play some different basketball. Turn up the intensity and just try and limit this Toledo scoring. That was relentless as ever in the first half. Pretty much 5 players in double figures for Toledo. And, you know, RedHawks were pretty much on rock bottom in that first half, but all you can go is up. And hopefully the RedHawks turn it up here with 20 more minutes left to play in the second to last home game of the season. Well, we'll head it over to Will and Luke for the rest of the second half. I'll be back for the postgame to talk how the RedHawks and the Toledo Rockets finish things out here from Millett Hall. It's all yours, Luke and Will, live from Millett.
All right, Andrew, thank you very much. At halftime, we are getting ready to start the second here from Millett Hall. It is 54-24, Toledo over Miami. Luke Westpoley, Will Summers back with you for the second half of this one. I mean, Will, there's not much else to say that we haven't already talked about with that first half for Miami. Only 5 players found the scoreboard for the RedHawks. Ian Elmer leading the way with 10, but maybe other than the St. Bonaventure game where the RedHawks performed honestly pretty similarly to this one in the first half, probably the ugliest half of the season for Miami. And at this point, you can throw, winning the game, doing stuff like that out the window. You're just trying to get something positive through the first few minutes and just hoping you can have a good half of basketball here to end this game.
Well, you just want to play a little bit cleaner as well. As Miami, you look at the stat sheet, Toledo shot a total of 17 free throws compared to Miami's 2, which pretty staggering numbers if you're just looking at the box score. But really the reason for that is Miami settled on just shooting three-point ball. They shot 15 total threes, only made 3 of them. Toledo only shot 9 threes and made 5 of them. Toledo was much more efficient at getting to the rim, getting fouled, making their free throws, and Miami, Toledo 17 for 17. You don't often see that in the first half, let alone a game. And yeah, Toledo just a much more complete team in the first half. And you mentioned, really, you'd be lying to yourself if you were expecting to win this ball game right now. Not that that's completely out of the window. We mentioned, but before halftime that crazy things have happened, but you're looking to see if you can take something positive and just get out of here with a little bit of confidence going into the Ohio game on Friday.
Toledo is out rebounding Miami by 10. RedHawks have actually taken 7 more field goals than the Rockets have, but Toledo 16 for 26, Miami 10 for 33, and already mentioned the Rockets' performance from the stripe. RedHawks only shot 2 free throws and only made 1 of them in that first half. This is a new look for Travis Steele out on the floor right now. He goes with Elmer, Ipsaro, Kateki, Morris, and Makai Cooper as the 5 to begin the second half. So this is a statement to the team of sorts for Coach Travis Steele to begin things. It'll be the RedHawks in the red uniforms from right to left, and Toledo in the whites from left to right to begin the second half of play here from Oxford. 54-24 our score with the Rockets leading, and down the right lane, Makai Cooper gets fouled. Count the basket and 1, 8 seconds in.
Well, you mentioned the kind of out-of-the-box lineup. 4 freshmen and a sophomore. If that's not sending a message to the older guys on your team, I don't know what is. And right away, the guy that's done it all night long, Makai Cooper, goes right to the rim and gets fouled and get a chance for a three-point play.
Cooper puts through the free throw. He's got 8 points on the game now, and good start for Miami, something that generated a little more momentum. They didn't really have any of that in the first half as the RedHawks now make it a 54-27 ball game. Now we'll see how this set looks for the RedHawks defensively. With Toledo on the offensive end, it's Moss pushing to the far corner for the Rockets. Cochran from there backing in on Kiteki. Whirls right around him, goes up high, and gets a finish over the height of the backboard. It falls through and one.
And that is so tough for Jackson Kiteki, coming onto the court cold off the bench. Hasn't played all day long, and being tasked with guarding one of the most talented guards in the MAC is no easy task at all.
Tyler Cochran threw that ball up probably about the top of the shot clock high, and it fell through for him. And now a three-point play on one end, a chance at the other for the Rockets, who haven't missed a free throw in this game. Cochran leaves it short, though, and there's the first miss for the Rockets, who are now 17 for 18 from beyond the arc. Rebound is deflected out of bounds by Toledo, and will go to Miami. 56-27 to score, with the Rockets in front 32 seconds into the second half.
Anytime your first free throw miss comes in the second half, you're having a pretty good day.
Rockets came in 7th best in the MAC in free throw shooting. Inside, Morris spins and draws the foul. Lost control of the basketball, was going up, it looked like for a dunk, but couldn't keep hold of it. The foul goes against Javon Simmons, and that'll send Morris to the line. And now Miami getting to the stripe a little bit, as the RedHawks only shot 2 free throws in that first half. Not even a minute in, and the RedHawks will shoot attempts number 2 and 3 from the line. Morris bricks off the first free throw, then misses to the right.
It is encouraging, even though Morris missed that first free throw. Miami not settling for three-point balls early in the shot clock, really trying to work their way to the rim, get fouled, and give themselves some easy point opportunities.
Quill hits the second one. He was scoreless on Saturday, and he's kind of been up and down. He's had a couple good games, in MAC play. Going to find that smooth consistency for the uber-talented sophomore big for the RedHawks. 56-28 our score, with Toledo in front. Maddox Jr. hooks it to the far wing for Wilson. He'll pop from the left lane. That falls short. He gets his own rebound, though. Back out Maddox Jr. Tape measure 3. And that rolls off the iron. And Ian Elmer gets the rebound for Miami. Down across the timeline on the right wing, it's Makai Cooper for the RedHawks. Back to Ian Elmer from the edge of the logo. Calls for a screen, gets it from Morris. Elmer down the paint, backing in, and falling through, gets fouled on the shot attempt, which rolls off the left side of the rim. And the RedHawks just keep getting to the free throw line. Less than 90 seconds into this second half, and Ian Elmer will be the third RedHawk player to shoot charity tosses of the half, as he will shoot 2 with the RedHawks down 28. Elmer is perfect on the first free throw. Was 2 for 3. Got the EGB chain for his defensive efforts with 4 steals to lead the way for Miami on Saturday in the win over Eastern Michigan. Second free throw from Elmer is pure. 56-30 our score, with 18:33 to go in the second half. Maddox Jr. nearly lost it out of bounds, with Makai Cooper hounding him a bit. Now we'll cross the timeline and get some separation before the dribble handoff for Wilson. This is Moss, left of the key, gets a screen. Moss backs through and now spins right in the lane, whips off for Simmons on the left side of the paint. He goes up and he lost the basketball. It's deflected out of bounds, and Miami gets the last touch. And the Red Hawk bench cannot believe that Jaquel Morris didn't get fouled, as he was the one who got 2 hands on the basketball for Miami, but just lost it out of bounds. And Morris gets the deflection and the steal off the inbound. Ipsaro motoring ahead for Miami, and he'll stop on the left side and give back up top for Ian Elmer. 18:02 to go, second half. Toledo by 26, but Miami looks to have a little more life here in frame 2. Ipsaro on the drive, hop step, finds Elmer, and he will go under and score. Hanging under the basket, Ian Elmer up to 12 points. Check that, 14 off 5 for 7 shooting, and a pair of triples. It's 56-32 Toledo, 2 minutes and 20 seconds into half 2.
And the freshman brings some fresh legs onto this court with him, and a much more rejuvenated RedHawks squad so far.
Maddox Jr. arcing it to the far side for Moss. He leaves off for Cochran with 9 to shoot. Cochran hooks to the near side. Moss open from there for three, and he knocks it through. That'll end the run. Raheem Moss with the triple, 31% from deep on the year. He's got a couple of those today, perfect from beyond the arc to the tune of 10 points, and it's 59-32 Rockets with 17:07 left to go in the game. Ipsaro to the far corner for Kateki. He'll slash, lose the ball, but get fouled as Cochran was getting ready to run in transition.
Luke, this lineup is very fascinating because barring a big transfer acquisition during the offseason, I mean, this is going to be what the RedHawks are going to be throwing out there a majority of the time next season, and going to let the youth kind of go through their growing pains, I guess, as we end this year and see if we can find a little diamond in the rough.
Cooper, right side from outside the paint, and he can't finish from there as that didn't reach the rim. Toledo pushing in transition. Cochran fakes the shot, now floats it from just outside, and that will fall well short, barely grazing the rim. Kateki gets the rebound for Miami. Cooper, transition, pop from the right elbow. Rattles off the iron. Cooper gets his own rebound, gets stuffed on the putback attempt, though, by Simmons, and a foul on the RedHawks on the second effort. With 16:36 to go in the second half, it is 59-32 Rockets. And Jaquel Morris picks up his first foul. And that is the second team foul on the RedHawks.
But even with that, those two misses by Cooper, I mean, this RedHawks offense, it's more, I guess, aesthetically pleasing to watch on the offensive side of the floor.
Collision right in front of the Rocket bench as a baseball pass fell in between two players. Ian Elmer will pick up the foul for Miami. Raheem Moss is the player who caught the brunt of that, but he looks to be okay. Bryce Boltman now coming on for Miami for Jackson Kateki. And so this lineup starts to get broken up a little bit here for the RedHawks as they got to play the first 3.5 minutes. 59-32 our score with Toledo leading Miami. And officials stop play and want to discuss something. So, official's going to talk to the scores table real quick. That was the third foul, by the way, on the RedHawks, not the second. Got that fixed up, and doesn't look like anything else is going to happen. So, Rockets will inbound from the far side, and it comes to Javon Simmons for Toledo, who's got it from up top, finding Cochran. Made his way down the right side before giving back out for Maddox on the exterior. Now Cochran from the near side, contested triple, and that's in and out. Rebound to Evan Ipsaro for Miami. Ipsaro, left hand on the dribble, switches to the right, finds Boltman in the far corner. His three is a line driver that missed too strong, and the rebound is to Maddox Jr. for Toledo, who's inching towards double-double territory. Underneath the basket, Moss got stripped. Boltman down on the floor, and he comes up with the steal. Makai Cooper up ahead for the RedHawks, looking to the far side and giving to the far side for Evan Ipsaro. Ipsaro, post-entry pass up high for Jaquel Morris. He'll now spin, forced outside the paint. Whipped back around the horn to the near angle extended for Makai Cooper with 12 to shoot. Cooper back to the far wing for Evan Ipsaro, and now into the corner. This is Elmer. He rises for three. That's off the front rim. Jaquel Morris, though, with the weak side offensive rebound. Cooper from up top. His tray. That's off target. Another rebound fought for, and this time Cochran comes away with it. 5-on-4 the other way with Elmer down. He's back to his feet. Cochran all the way through, threads the needle, and scores it with the right hand.
Cochran's so tough when he gets to the rim, and another great finish out of the big guard from Toledo.
14 points, right on the season average of 14.4 for Tyler Cochran. Foul on the inside now, away from the ball. Looks like it's on Toledo, and that will take us to a timeout with Miami in the front court. A little more back and forth here in this second half. Toledo still comfortable. 61-32 is the Rocket lead with 15:10 left to go in regulation. Back to Millett Hall after this. You're listening to Miami Basketball on Red Hawk Radio. 15:10 to go in the second half. It's Toledo 61 and Miami 32. Luke West, Poley, and Will Summers with you as teams have traded punches a little more here in this second half than what happened in the first when it was all Rockets. Miami right now outscoring Toledo 8-7 here in the second half. Still a very comfortable Rocket lead. RedHawks have gone with a different lineup, but now most of those guys back out onto the floor. RedHawks got the inbound in, and Bradley Dean got fouled right in front of the Miami bench. And what's going on here? Well, it looks like the call was overturned. They're going to say Dean stepped out of bounds before he got fouled, and so it'll go to the Rockets. Initial call was that there was a foul on Toledo. Travis Steele's just giving the death stare to the official on the far side. So Toledo will take it left to right. It's Moss up ahead for the Rockets. Upward pass for Simmons, who hands off up top for Dante Maddox Jr. between the legs on the dribble, steps it back and flings to Moss on the near wing. Shimmy shake into the lane, catches the contact, and it's an offensive foul. Late whistle there. That shot had already gotten up and hit off the rim before the whistle blew, but it was called against Moss, who gets his second. 5:11 into this second half, and it is 61-32. Toledo over Miami, with the RedHawks taking it right to left. Evan Ipsaro carrying it forward for Miami. He's played 16 minutes, still looking for the first bucket of the game. Dean steps back for the tray, and that's off the heel. And the rebound is pulled down by Toledo, but a lead pass ahead from Lewis to Lorenzen missed him too high, and it's out of bounds back to Miami.
Well, Luke, this game is going to be make or break for the season, really. I mean, this hasn't been the Miami squad that we've been accustomed to seeing all year long. You know you can compete with these top echelon teams. It's just going to be about, can you flush this loss, put it on the back burner, and focus on what's ahead.
Sara from the near angle, back up top for Bradley Dean. He'll cut to the hoop and kick to the corner. Boltman for three. That clangs the iron. Rebound on the strong side for Dante Maddox Jr. for Toledo. And that's his 10th rebound. He's now got a double-double with 11 points. Maddox Jr. to the far side for Lorenzen. New career high in rebounds for Dante Maddox Jr. And now he'll step back and take a three. And he won't hit it. Missed it to the right, but the rebound tapped out into the arms of Lewis. Lorenzen pump fakes and gets fouled by Dean, who reached in on the drive. 13:49 to go second half. That is the fourth foul on Miami, and that will give Toledo more time on this possession, with the Rockets leading 61-32.
An exorbitant amount of fouls also as well called in the second half. Really kind of ticky-tacky fouls, majority of them. The ball was tipped out of bounds. It's really, again, mentioned the ticky-tacky fouls, not good for anybody. Not really good to keep this game going longer than it even should, but we'll see if the refs kind of adjust how they call this ball game as we head towards the finish.
Lorenzen and Bryce Boltman will get some words from the official about their contact before this ball is put into play. And now the official on the far side will stop play. Just kind of looking at Travis Steele right now on the bench, and Coach Steele gives him a nod, and we'll go again. And we get a foul before the ball is even put in. Lorenzen and Boltman are going at it right now, and Boltman will get whistled for the violation.
The ref was staring that down. He was waiting to call that thing.
I mean, it's that same official on the far side. He's now pleading with them to lighten up a little bit as the inbound goes back to Lorenzen. He goes right at Boltman, kind of swings him down, and Boltman will be called for the foul, and he is fuming. Bryce Boltman's not a guy that shows a ton of emotion on the floor, but was very angry. The official on the near side as he picks up his second, and that will give Toledo another shot on the inbound.
It wasn't hard to read lips either. Boltman said, "He's holding me." Two have been arm fighting that entire time.
Boltman was the one who got called for the wrap. Inbound, Lorenzen, three for the far side. Off the iron twice, and now it's Ipsaro with the rebound for Miami.
All of that just for a missed three-point ball.
Ipsaro on the right side, cuts it across, stops his feet at the top of the key, and now it's Bradley Dean to the wing for Boltman, and he got fouled on the way in by Lorenzen. Just kind of shrugs and tosses the hands up. Those guys are probably going to keep going at it until one of them inevitably gets pulled from the game by their head coach.
Or the officials.
Could be the case as well. For Lawrenson, he's still got a longer leash. That's just his first foul. 13:23 to go second half. Both teams in the bonus now after racking up fouls over the last couple of minutes. And it is 61-32. Check that, 61-32 Toledo over Miami. Bryce Boltman shooting the 1-and-1 at the free throw line, and he misses the front end, and Lawrenson gets the rebound. Cochran burning down the right side, guarded by Darwishi Hunter for Miami. More contact between Boltman and Lawrenson, and Cochran leaves it on the far wing for Wilson. Wilson jabbing away, and now we'll sling to the near corner where Lewis thought about the three, fakes, drives, and kicks to the far side where Cochran is down with it. Cochran between the legs on the dribble. He tries to make his way in and lost it out of bounds. Some good defense by Mekhi Cooper of Miami, and the RedHawks will take over. 12:58 to go second half. Toledo by 29, and both of these teams have been scoreless for extended periods. Rockets for 2.5 minutes, Miami now for 5 minutes. Cooper over to the far side for Dean, and now it's Marambo top of the key. Boltman left angle extended up for Darwishi Hunter. His three try is off the mark. Cochran with the board for Toledo, just his fourth rebound as he'll race it ahead, and now sidestep shuffle down to the baseline. Bouncing to the near side of the paint, White back outward for Wilson, and now in the near corner, Cochran got Dean to jump for joy, but can't get the shot up. Now he'll fade away a wild shot that rolls through. Absolutely off balance, whatever you want to call it. Somehow that falls through for Cochran. They've been all falling for him today, and it's 63-32 as the Rockets break the scoreless streak. Foul going the other way on Toledo.
Tyler Cochran, I mean, as impressive and as advertised for this Toledo squad, he's going to be a big key to see if they can have any success in the MAC tournament and see if they can have any success possibly in the NCAA tournament.
Hunter hits the first of the 1-and-1 shots, and we'll get a second. Toledo leads by 30 with 12:12 to go in the second half. It's really interesting because it's a Rocket team that they've been a MAC titan under Todd Kowalczyk as Hunter makes the second free throw. But no NCAA tournaments. They're seeking to win their fourth straight regular season title in this conference, but they haven't won in Cleveland yet, and they're still looking for that first NCAA tournament since 1980. Get a foul going the other way now as Toledo was holding outside the arc. It'll be on Lorenzen, and that will bring us to a media timeout. 11:58 to go second half. It's Toledo 63 and Miami 34. We're back to Millett Hall after this. You're listening to Miami Basketball on RedHawk Radio. 1:58 to go, second half. It's 63-34, Toledo over Miami. And just to make matters worse, review of that foul. It was an offensive foul called on Andre Lawrenson of the Rockets. They reviewed it and overturned Lawrenson's common foul into a flagrant foul on Miami and Bryce Boltman. So he gets his third. Lawrenson's at the stripe, and he drains the first free throw to restore the 30-point lead for the Rockets.
Been some questionable officiating, even though, I mean, Miami's still being down 30. Not like the officials have had too big of an impact on this game, but officiating has been questionable at times.
Lawrenson can't sink the second free throw. So Lawrenson will go take a seat. RedHawks that are currently 0 from the field: Boltman, Hunter, Marambo, Dean, and Ipsaro. All of those guys have taken between 2 and 5 shots, and none of them have connected from the field. It has just been a brutal day for Miami all around. Maddox Jr. has it on the left side of the front court for Toledo, and now to the near wing it is Simmons with his back turned. Simmons, a redshirt freshman with his feet stopped, goes back up top with 6 to shoot for Moss at the elbow. Back to the outside, Cochran takes a long three and connects. Tyler Cochran is 3 for 4 from deep, 7 for 9 from the field with 19 points. And it's 67-34 Rockets with 11:25 to go in the game. Cooper steps back into a long two, and that is off the orange, and the rebound in the air, and Maddox Jr. for Toledo. Long pass ahead. Cochran thought about the heat check three. Instead, he'll kill more time. Maddox Jr., right side of the logo, just holding next to the left waist. Comes off a screen on the left side, jabs, and whips to Moss, who's right next to him. Now it's Wilson back for Maddox Jr. in the corner of the logo with 8 to shoot. Maddox Jr. briefly doubled, gets off and matched up against Marambo, rounds a screen, 3 to shoot. Now finds on the baseline a drive and a foul against the RedHawks, as it was, looks like Cochran that got downhill there, just got lost in a mass of bodies and put up a shot that went very high, but just glanced off the front of the rim. Cochran did get fouled, and he'll go to the free throw line with a chance to shoot a couple of more. Tyler Cochran, junior out of Bolingbrook, Illinois, and Bolingbrook High School, same hometown as Miami's Makai Cooper, the freshman. He's been around, mentioned his 2 other stops already at other MAC schools at Ball State, Northern Illinois. He misses the first free throw, and Travis Steele sends off 5 subs. Potter, Elmer, Morris, Ipsaro, Mabry coming on for Miami. Tyler Cochran has been so good in this game, making his 24th start. He's played every game this season, over 30 minutes a game for a Toledo team that just rosters 12 guys. He's been starting since early December and has scored as many as 33 points. Did that in a game against Marshall. He has been excellent. Second free throw is made by Cochran, and it's a 68-34 ball game as a foul going up the floor on Toledo. Ipsaro got tangled up with Sonny Wilson, and actually it's going to be on Cochran who gets the foul. That is the 8th team foul, and that will send Evan Ipsaro to the charity stripe.
Well, barring another just massive collapse out of this Miami squad, you can take solace in the fact that if these 2 teams do meet again, hopefully in Cleveland, as Ipsaro makes the first, you take solace in the fact that you know Miami will give a little bit, hopefully a better effort, and definitely give themselves more of a chance to win in that ball game. And we were talking during the break how interesting this MAC tournament's going to be, because really, these 8 teams, anybody can beat anybody.
Toledo was the team that beat Miami last year in the first round of the MAC tournament, as Ipsaro misses the second free throw. And we get a foul on the rebound against Miami and Reese Potter, and so they'll walk the floor and shoot more free throws. Yeah, last year, Miami's season came to an end against Toledo in the first round of the MAC tournament, as the Rockets beat the RedHawks 91-75 on March 9th. Toledo made the final before losing to Sincere Carey in the Kent State Golden Flashes, who eventually fell in the first round of the NCAA tournament to Indiana. Cochran's first free throw is off the front end of the rim and in. Toledo got put in the NIT and got beat by 10 on the road at Michigan. Cochran readying for the second free throw. It's a very different-looking Toledo team, and Todd Kowalczyk said going into the year he thought this team would have a little more of a defensive identity, but they've still been one of the better offensive teams in the country, is top 100 in KenPom in offensive efficiency. Cochran makes both free throws. 70-35, the Toledo advantage. Mabry, far side three. That rattles the iron, and Morris got the offensive rebound, had no idea where it was. It falls right back down to him, and he cleans that up with a spin. And now an intercepted pass going the other way as Ipsaro plays catch with Elmer, and he threw it away looking for Mabry.
Just sloppy offensive possession again for Miami, but no, we've talked about this before, Luke. It was really never going to be these first 2 years for Coach Steele. He inherited kind of a sticky situation here in Miami, and he's done a really great job recruiting, bringing in his guys these first 2 years. And really next year's the year. It'll be the barometer. Next 2 years will be the barometer of his success at Miami, see where he's at as a coach.
Deflected ball out of bounds was originally called off Miami. Officials will deliberate and reverse it as it is out off Toledo, and we'll go back to the RedHawks. 70-37 is the score with 10:10 to go in the second half.
We're kind of in this day and age where we see a lot of head coach turnover. It's going to be years 3 and 4 that we're going to expect to see some success.
Morris with a steal. He gets swatted under the basket. Javon Simmons, when he went up for the dunk, just poked the ball out. And it is out of bounds to Miami. 11 seconds into the shot clock as we've crossed the midway mark of half two. 70-37, Toledo leads Miami. Ipsaro finds Potter in the mid-range on the near side. He'll pull and score. Potter has shown his ability to do that. It's part of his game at 7'1". Just kind of holds the ball, and if nobody sits up on him, he'll take the shot. As Potter has now 4 points, and credit Evan Ipsaro with 4 helpers, as it's 70-39 now the score. Going up top, a huge rejection by Ian Elmer on Simmons. Transition 3 for Ipsaro, and that is too strong. And Moss has plenty of space for the rebound for the Rockets. So Toledo will settle this down. Near corner, now a 3 is taken from there, and that falls just short for Sonny Wilson. And the RedHawks have it as it's Evan Ipsaro up ahead. Ryan Mabry from the key, back for Ipsaro on the right side. Just inside the arc on the right wing. Potter again pulls and knocks it down. Reese Potter's breakout game came against Toledo. He had double figures in the first half of the first meeting. Potter starting to heat up a little bit here as we get late into this one. Still Rockets by 29, 70-41 with 8:48 to go in the second. Lawrenson on the drive, and he got blocked by Morris, but a blocking foul is called, believe on Ipsaro, who's trying to draw the charge. So up top, that was clean as Morris swatted the ball away, but down low where Ipsaro was awaiting, didn't have the 2 feet planted. That is Miami's 10th foul, and that will send Andre Lawrenson to the free throw line. Lawrenson with 11 points. He hasn't scored in a little while. He was the first Rocket in double digits with 10. Only bucket, I should say, he's had since then came from the free throw line. Lawrenson does make this free throw to get up to 12 points on the game. For Toledo, they'll have kind of a de facto rivalry coming up on Friday night. It's not their main geographic rival. That would be Bowling Green, but they've got a Kent State team at home on CBS Sports Network on Friday night that they've really churned out a nice rivalry with over the past few years, and 2 of the 3 best teams in this conference. Kent State's had a little bit of a rough year, but still going to be very competitive come next week in Cleveland. Lawrenson made both free throws. Now it's Ipsaro from the right side for Miami, up top for Reese Potter, and now Ian Elmer has it from the left wing. Round a screen, back up top, it's Jaquel Morris. Dribble handoff for Ryan Mabry. Quick cutting move, but he can't get anywhere on Lawrenson. Now he'll just fade away for a long 2, and that rattles out. And it's out of bounds, deflected back to Miami. With 8:19 to go in the second half, Toledo by 31, 72-41. And it's really interesting, too, mentioned a couple of times that Toledo only rosters 12 guys, and this has kind of been a game where you could really empty your bench, but for Toledo, they have to some degree, but you're still playing guys that usually get significant minutes because really everybody on this roster does. Back up front, this is Reese Potter, far side of the paint for Miami. Spins, he's walled off by Lawrenson, so he'll just shoot it over him, and that misses. Morris racing after the rebound and can't quite get there in time. RedHawk bench applauds the effort, but it does get out of bounds. And now Toledo will bring up another sub as Xavier Thomas will come into the game, and so he will be the 9th Rocket to come on.
Well, like you mentioned, Kent State not having the most ideal year according to their standards, but another team that can really, they can go on a run, win that MAC tournament, and sneak their way into the tournament. We're going to see that a lot throughout next week. A lot of these teams that don't really look like they have a shot on paper could go on a big-time run and find themselves in the tournament.
Thomas gets the and one for Toledo. Got inside and got fouled. And Thomas, who's appearing in just his 8th game of the year, puts it in for the highlight reel as Reese Potter picks up foul number 5. Media timeout on the floor here from Oxford with 7:49 to go in the second half. It's Toledo 74 and Miami 41. We're back after this. You're listening to Miami Basketball on Red Hawk Radio. (74-41) is the Toledo lead over Miami with 7:49 to go in the second half. Luke West, Poley, and Will Summers with you here on this Tuesday night. First of our back-to-back nights here on Red Hawk Radio, as coming up tomorrow, we will have Miami women's basketball action coming up for you. Xavier Thomas is at the free throw line to try and complete an and one, and he misses the free throw. Glenn Box's group taking on Northern Illinois coming up tomorrow at 7 o'clock. Coverage beginning at 6:30 here on Red Hawk Radio. Morris slips through, but can't slither it home with the right hand. And Toledo's got the rebound, and will take it across the timeline. It is Wilson that has it for the Rockets. Former Gatorade Player of the Year in Michigan, number 2 ranked point guard in that state with a step-back mid-range jumper, and that didn't fall for him, but the Rockets get the offensive rebound and set back up in the half court. Dante Maddox Jr. down the lane. He waits, hangs, and scores underneath the Ian Elmer, who went flying on by. 76-41 Rockets with 7 minutes left to play. Marambo now has it up top for Miami. Hasn't played a whole ton of minutes, just 15 of them in this game, as have many of the upperclassmen RedHawks. Been a young lineup for Travis Steele since this game got out of hand. Marambo tried to feed Morris on the far side of the paint, but it was deflected by 2 Rockets and taken away by Wilson. Up ahead, Lawrenson into the paint, tried to pass it into a tight spot. Marambo picked it off. He finds Mabry on the far side, who will run the floor and now settle it up. Mabry went up like he was going for a shot, instead dishes into the corner for Ipsaro. Now up top, a 3 from the big man, and Marambo hits.
Don't see that very often on Marambo, but when he does step out there, he has a pretty good clip from three-point range, and he drills one right there.
33% on the year, coming off an 0 for 3 performance against Eastern Michigan from deep. And now a steal for Ian Elmer, and he will go up and get fouled by Lawrenson. He was going to throw that down NBA style with one hand, but Lawrenson wasn't having any of that. Got him on the arm, made sure he got the ball. 76-44 is our score as Lawrenson gets his second. 6:04 left to go in the half, and Ian Elmer will be at the free throw line. For Miami coming up, they'll wrap up the regular season on Friday night in the Battle of the Bricks against Ohio. As Elmer hits the first free throw. That's a game where the RedHawks will seek out some revenge. Fell on the road at the Convocation Center earlier this year. That was a really tough environment for the RedHawks to go into, and were somewhat competitive through the middle stages of that game, but down the stretch in the second half, really let it get away, and we'll have a chance to rebound in both senses of coming back from this performance and getting some revenge on their rivals come Friday. 76-45 the score with 5:50 to go. Toledo back with it in the front court following the free throw miss by Elmer. On the near wing, it is Thomas. Bullet to the far side for Wilson. Goes up and under, got partially tipped. With the putback, he gets fouled and got the bucket.
Really nice find from Thomas at the top of the key to find his man in Lewis. Wide open under the basket. The second chance points at a premium tonight. Toledo takes full advantage and extends their lead even further.
So Wilson will shoot one. Wilson readying. And we'll put the shot up and doesn't get the friendly roll. Falls off on him, and Kentucky gets the rebound for Miami. 78-45, the Rocket lead with 5:30 left to go. Marambo bullies in. Outward for Elmer, slashing across. Elmer pivots and finds Marambo in the near wing. Another 3, another bucket. Marambo with his second 3 and starting to pad the stats late. Those are both of his buckets. As now on the drive, it is out of bounds to Miami as Xavier Thomas stepped on the baseline. And Todd Kowalczyk is out on the Toledo bench. One thing I've noticed about Todd Kowalczyk from when he was here last year and also when he is here this year is he is a guy that, I mean, he really demands perfection out of this team.
Well, even going up.
Yeah, late in these games, I mean, he's still into it.
Going into the half up 30, still didn't even seem that happy. And I will say, Coach Kowalczyk, as Marambo, he checked 3 from Marambo, no good. Coach Kowalczyk's got some drip for sure. He's got the dunks on right now.
The dunks, yeah, the staff issue dunks that go all the way up the staff. You can see them, they're sweet.
It's rare to see that sort of drip out of an older coach.
Turnaround shot falls through for Ben White. I don't mean to be too much of a hater, but I can say that it's better than Travis Steele's brother, John Gross, and what he's got going on with his look has been wearing a vest inside this season. I'm not sure how I feel about that.
It's more of a football look for sure. Not sure how it translates into the basketball.
Great basketball coach, John Gross. Great basketball coach. Might lead Akron to a regular season title this year, but I don't know how I feel about that. Marambo takes another 3, and he's going to miss that one off the front iron. Marambo just keeps airing him out. Going to check to see what falls. Marco Maletic is into the game for Toledo, and he threads through and scores. Maletic, an interesting guy. He's only played 4 games this season for Toledo. He was LIU's leading scorer last year before transferring in. Also played at Laramie County Community College in Wyoming and began his career at Fanshawe College, which is in London, Ontario. 3-pointer for Ian Elmer on the far side, and that falls home. These teams are trading some heavyweight shots here late as the score is starting to run up on both sides. Maletic was driving, and we get an offensive foul call against Toledo. So that will take us to the final media timeout. When we come back, we'll bring you home. 3:37 to go, second half. It's Toledo 82 and Miami 51. From Millett Hall, you're listening to Miami Basketball on Red Hawk Radio. .37 to go, second half. It is Toledo 82 and Miami 51. Hasn't been a night to remember. That's okay for the RedHawks, as they'll have a chance to rebound coming up in just a few nights against the Ohio Bobcats. RedHawks have it out of the timeout, and Bradley Dean gets fouled. A violent putback by Jaquel Morris, but it won't count. Instead, Dean will go to the free throw line with 3.5 left to go. And fouls against Thomas, who gets his first for the Rockets. Types of games, they happen to most teams, and especially a team that is as young as this Miami team is. Sometimes you just got to throw the tape out. First free throw is put up and in by Bradley Dean. RedHawks had a similar type of performance on the road earlier this year against St. Bonaventure, and following that, the RedHawks look pretty good for the rest of the calendar year. So if you're a believer in trends and history repeating itself, that might be a good sign, as Dean sinks the second free throw.
Well, and Coach Steele, a consummate pro at the coaching position, he's not going to let this affect them long term. He's still animated into this ball game, but he knows it's going to be, like you mentioned, a throw out the tape type of game.
Thomas from the near side, his three, that rolls over the rim and in.
Well, as bad as Miami's played, Toledo's played just as good. I mean, 56% from the field is nothing to scoff at all for these Rockets.
Foul on the inside. It is against Lewis of Toledo. 3:02 left to go in the second half. It's 85-53. So the only thing that you really, I mean, X's and O's from this game probably won't matter a ton, truth be told, just because of the type of game it's been, as Ipsara makes the first free throw. Only thing you have to wonder, though, a little bit if you're a Red Hawk fan, is where the offense is going to come from on Friday, because that's something that, even despite the wins, has kind of left a little bit to be desired. Miami defensively has looked fantastic over the last couple of weeks and just kind of came to a halt today.
Gonna have to see some more out of Darishi Hunter. He really went quiet again tonight, and if Miami's gonna have any success in Cleveland, he's gonna have to get going.
Thomas with a front door cut to get him 2 more. 7 points for him on the game. Kateki bullies to the basket, and he knocks it high off the glass, no good. And the rebound is pulled down by the Rockets, 87-55, our score, with Toledo in front, as Lewis goes hard to the rack, and he slams it with the right hand. Timeout, Miami. So Travis Steele trying to spur up his guys a little bit here late. It's 89-55. Rockets over RedHawks with 2:28 left to go. Following that game on Friday, the RedHawks will have almost a week off as the MAC tournament begins on Thursday for the men, with the RedHawks taking on an opponent that is unbeknownst to them yet. We'll figure that out this weekend. It is a log jam right behind Miami, and the RedHawks currently sit one game back of Central Michigan, who is 10-6 in fourth place. Theoretically, the RedHawks could still move into that position, although it will be much tougher following tonight with only one game left to go. Need Central Michigan to lose both of their remaining two games, and the RedHawks will have to take care of business on Friday. But the RedHawks have already locked up the trip to Cleveland. However, they will have a chance to fall anywhere between fourth all the way down to eighth, and that could mean all number of opponents for this RedHawk team. Looking at the likes of maybe seeing this Toledo team again. I think after tonight, they certainly won't want that to happen, but got an Akron team that you've already beaten this year, Central Michigan team that you have also beaten as well. For Ohio, you'll have a chance at them on Friday before maybe a potential rematch in order in the MAC tournament. A lot of different scenarios that could play out in the MAC tournament over the following week.
And if you're wondering, hey, I wonder if the MAC tiebreakers are simple and easy to read. They are not.
They're not.
If you look it up online, they will give you
last
quite the
year,
scare.
yeah, last year the RedHawks got into the tournament off tiebreak, and I believe they had to go down to the second or third tiebreak to get them into the tournament, but
it hurt my head to look at.
Yeah.
It's for smarter people than me, I assume.
So we'll just hope there's no ties for this RedHawk team. Also, by the way, the whole tournament's played in Cleveland. It's a straight-up 1-8 bracket, so it's just quarters, semis, championship. No funny business with buys, no high seeds hosting. The whole thing is played at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse in Cleveland. Gives a little bit of a home field advantage to some of those northern schools, I should say, especially Akron and Kent State, who are both in the greater Cleveland area, but RedHawk fans have traveled well to that tournament in the past, and imagine that will probably continue this year as well.
Well, almost the same as Toledo, getting the basic home game at Ford Field during the MAC championship in football.
That went a good way.
It did go. It went our way for sure. That was a fun one. We wrote that one. That was an enjoyable experience for everyone wearing Miami gear that day.
MAC champions, the Miami football team in 2023. Back out of the timeout, it's Jaquel Morris bashing to the interior. Now a skyhook on the turnaround, drops through for Jaquel. 5 points, check that, 7 points for him on the game. As Morris maybe building a little bit of confidence. RedHawks will need him coming up late in the year to make an impact. As he now picks up a deflection, and Pissarro grabs the loose ball off for Morris. He soars through and he misses the dunk with the right hand. Tried to bring the rim down, but just lost the basketball. Now a step back three the other way, and bang it for Maletic.
Maletic only his 5th game played, able to get some minutes. I'm sure he didn't really expect to see some minutes during MAC play, but he's making the most of it for sure.
92-57, the Rockets lead with 92 seconds left to go. And it's Pissarro from up top for Miami. Now Jackson Kutecki from the near wing. Kutecki dribbling waist high, finds Jaquel Morris. Tried to leave it off for Mabry. Ball popped in the air, but Mabry comes down with it. Mabry now loses it into the backcourt. And that's a backcourt violation on the RedHawks as it was not deflected. Minute 18 to go, second half, and the RedHawks turn it over. That's only turnover number 11 for Miami. Toledo's turned the ball over 19 times, but pretty much every other stat has gone in the Rockets' favor. They have a 44-25 advantage in rebounding, and Miami is 19 for 62 from the field. Toledo is 30 for 51.
19 turnovers and still amassing 92 points is a pretty unfathomable feat.
This Toledo team has been remarkably efficient all season long on offense. It's continued today. Lawrenson, oh, big three on the step back. He was blanketed, falling away from the bucket, nearly fell into the courtside seats, and drains another triple to get up to 16 points on the game. 95-57, the Toledo lead. Dean with a three from the near side, and that goes.
Ball fell right into Dean's hands. He was ready to go right back up with it, and the dead-eye shooter, got the ball in rhythm and was able to bury the three-point ball.
So Miami does hit the 60-point mark here in this game as Toledo will run some time off this. 30 seconds left to go. Euro into the lane, and Millett gets the score.
So we're going to avoid 100-point watch. Thank goodness.
It's 97-60 with the shot clock dark. Makai Cooper, defense sags off him. He takes the three, won't hit it. Morris gets the offensive rebound for Miami. Dean, Mac logo floater. That's missed to the left. Rebound again, tapped to the RedHawks. Dean with another three from the near side, and that falls through. Bradley Dean up to 8 points.
Able to get some stats to pad, even though it's a blowout, but yeah, not Miami's night.
Time runs out on this one, and the RedHawks will have a couple of days to rest and recuperate before trying to rebound coming up on Friday. Toledo comes on the road and comes away with a resounding 34-point win against the Miami RedHawks. 97-63 is the final, with the Rockets taking down Miami. Toledo now 19-11 on the year. They will close out their regular season against Kent State on Friday, and with this win, they remain alive in their quest to win another MAC regular season title. They'll need some help from their foes across the state as the Akron Zips still sit one game up. For Miami, they fall to 500 on the year, 15-15 overall, 9-8 in the MAC. Rivalry coming up on senior night on Friday should be plenty of fun as the RedHawks will take on the Ohio Bobcats in a 7 o'clock start in the final home game and final game of the regular season for Miami before they head to Cleveland next week. We'll take the tape and burn it. If you're Miami, you got a quick turnaround. Normally Tuesday to Saturday. This time it's Tuesday to Friday. Big rivalry game coming up, and can't afford any sort of emotional hangover from this type of game. You just got to move on.
Burn it, bury it, throw it off of a cliff. Doesn't really matter what you do with it. Never watch this game ever again. Forget this thing even happened. You know what? If there was mind-clearing devices in the world, use that on yourself. Forget this game ever happened. Go on to Friday. Get some momentum going to MAC tournament play.
We will be back on the air coming up tomorrow, 6:30 pregame, 7 o'clock start, in a crucial game for the Miami women's team. Glenn Box was in attendance today, and he will try to coach his team into the MAC tournament as the RedHawks sit a game out of position. Currently, Miami hosts Northern Illinois coming up on the women's side on Saturday tomorrow. Once again, 6:30 pregame, 7 o'clock tip right here on Red Hawk Radio, and we will talk to you then. So thanks so much for tuning in on this night. For Will Summers and the rest of our great Red Hawk Radio crew, I'm Luke West Poley saying so long for now from Millett Hall. Toledo beats Miami 97-63. Now to get you wrapped up on this one, we send it over to Andrew Relvas with our Red Hawk Radio postgame.
Thanks, Luke. Thanks, Will. And that does it here from Millett Hall. The RedHawks fall to the Toledo Rockets 97-63, and quite a forgettable game here for the RedHawks. Will said it perfectly. The RedHawks just got to forget this one. This game, you know, it's tough. It's tough, those games so deep into the season where you're in a 3-game winning streak entering tonight, and you fall at home by 34. Just a tough obstacle here for the RedHawks, but they got one more regular season game here before Cleveland. That's against the Ohio Bobcats. That'll be an exciting game for sure, and the RedHawks got to tune up for that game once that occurs. But overall in the second half, it was a 39-43 half. Toledo won that. They shot 16 for 27. That's 59%, 5 for 10 from 3, 6 for 11 from the free throw line. Meanwhile, Miami 39 points on 33% shooting, 11 for 33, 12 for 16 from the free throw line, and 5 for 16 from deep. They won both quarters, and absolute blowout win here for Toledo. The leading scorer of the day for the Rockets was Cochran with 22. He's one of 4 Rockets in double figures. Lorenstein, Cochran, Maddox, and Moss all had double figures. And this was a game here where Toledo shot 32 for 53. That's 60% from the floor. They also shot 10 for 19 from deep. Number one three-point shooting team in the MAC entering tonight, 53% from deep tonight. And yeah, they shot the brakes off of Miami, and the RedHawks are going to have to tune up on Friday. Ian Elmer was the leading scorer here for the RedHawks, 18 points. He was the only player in double figures. Makai Cooper, 3 for 12. Tough game for him, but he'll be back. He's a great player, and he's going to be a great player in the future here for the RedHawks. Darwishi Hunter shot 0 for 5. You don't usually see that from a player like him. 2 for 7 from Anderson Marambo, only made 2 3-pointers. 2 for 8 from Bradley Dean. And the list goes on. I mean, all these guys here for the RedHawks, probably the worst shooting night of the season for them. But they got one more regular season game, and they can definitely rebound. And why not try and take down the Ohio Bobcats? It'll be a great opportunity. And we will have that for you here on Friday. Well, that's going to do it here from Millett Hall. The RedHawks fall 97-63 here from Oxford. And what was a forgettable game here for the RedHawks. An awesome game for the Toledo Rockets if you're a fan. Great traveling section, and yeah, that does it here from Millett. We will be back tomorrow here for women's basketball as the Miami women's team tries to make a run at the MAC tournament. Miami versus NIU. Pre-game at 6:30. Official game at 7 o'clock. Make sure to tune into that one. And we've got men's on Friday, Miami versus Ohio. Same time, same place for that one. And then the final one of the weekend, Miami versus Ohio on the women's side. So you get the Battle of the Brick Series, men's and women's, to close out the weekend. Going to be a fun rest of the weekend here from Red Hawk Radio. And we thank you so much for being a part of it. That's going to do it here. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Andrew Relvas. I will catch you in the next one, whenever that may be. If not, we hope you have a great rest of your night, and we will catch you in our next Red Hawk Radio broadcast. Have a great rest of your night, and take care.